Chapter 743, Hong Lian's Past, The Effect of Ancient Runes. _1 Hong Lian only wishes for the young master to give Ruyin a chance, Hong Lian said with a slight sigh. She knew that Lu Changxing couldn't possibly let Su Ruyin go at this moment. In their recent conversation, after gaining a detailed understanding of Lu Changxing's various actions and deeds, she also made some judgments in her heart. She believed that Lu Changxing, this person, shouldn't be some reincarnated old monster from the demon path or heretical path, and that his character was relatively decent. Therefore, she had also done some ideological work with Su Ruyin, preparing her mentally. After all, although now they were trapped in a difficult situation, life was just so, seizing the opportunity could turn a predicament into an opportunity. And Su Ruyin's initiative in calling out to Lu Changxing clearly showed she had made a decision in her heart. Hee. Lu Changxing laughed upon hearing this. Then, with a smile that was not quite a smile, he turned to Su Ruyin and said, "Right now in my cave heaven, I just happen to need a servant girl. In consideration of Hong Lian, as long as she is obedient and performs well, I'll honor all my previous words and will not treat her badly." "Thank you, young master," Hong Lian said, giving a deep bow, and did not continue to speak. "Don't you have any other conditions you wish to ask for?" Seeing this, Lu Changxing's brow arched, thinking that the Hong Lian before him was far too agreeable. Or rather, her attitude was unbelievably accommodating, and the process of subduing her was going too smoothly. Logically speaking, as a mighty soul and a nascent soul true lord, shouldn't she be full of arrogance? But the Hong Lian before him showed not the slightest arrogance and even seemed somewhat humble, which made him somewhat uncomfortable. "Hong Lian has not yet made any contributions to the young master, I dare not ask for too much. Moreover, I believe that in the future, the young master will not treat me unfairly, just as the young master promised before, to restore my body and return to the peak," Hong Lian said in an elegant and gentle voice. She was dressed in a gorgeous palace gown, wearing a pearl crown, her face refined and perfect, giving off a sense of sacred nobility. Yet, before Lu Changxing, she was like a servant girl, offering a great sense of accomplishment. "All right, Hong Lian, rest assured, once the time is right, I will restore your body," Lu Changxing said with a nod and a smile. In his heart, he thought, truly worthy of being a mighty soul. This attitude of maintaining a proper balance regardless of the situation made him extremely comfortable and his favorable impression soared. "By the way, Hong Lian, at your peak, what was your cultivation level? Where did you come from, and how did you end up in such a state?" Lu Changxing asked. His purpose in subduing Hong Lian was mainly with the thought of making her his child's mother. But since she was currently in a state of soul without a physical body, she still needed to serve other purposes. Leaving everything else aside, just having Hong Lian with her vision and strength to instruct his children would be very good. At present, the cultivation of his children was primarily overseen by Lu Miaoyun and Ling Zixiao. Although the two of them were capable, honestly speaking, they were not that great. Replying to the young master, "At my peak I was at the 7th level of nascent soul, from the Northern Plains cultivation realm, the Vermilion Bird Palace," Hong Lian said softly. "As for how I ended up in such a plight, originally, my sect's disciples discovered a mysterious cave dwelling, suspected to be the sect ruins of the Feathering Ice Palace from the ancient times. I led the sect's disciples to fully explore and attempt to solve the ruins. The Ice Divine Palace attacked us during this, and in this great battle, we accidentally broke open the ruins' restrictions. As soon as the ruins were broken open, there were countless treasures bursting forth, which made both sides go completely insane, fighting one another. Reflecting on it now, at that time, there was a mysterious force affecting our mental spirit and consciousness. In that battle, I was gravely injured, and for some reason, I didn't think of retreating. Instead of escaping into the great void with my nascent soul, I chose to self-destruct my nascent soul, to die alongside the enemy. But at the moment of my nascent soul's self-destruction, a mysterious power captured my soul. When I awoke, I was inside this ancient beast taming charm, awakened by the young lady Su," Hong Lian said without hiding anything, slowly explaining how she had fallen to such a state. She still couldn't figure out what had happened to her at the time. Not just her, all the people present at the scene were severely affected, leading to such an intense and devastating battle. Otherwise, not just nascent soul true lords, but even nascent soul immortals, in a battle of equals, wouldn't fight to the death like that. After all, everyone cultivates for Changsheng. Once you become a nascent soul immortal, you have a lifespan of 500 years, why would you fight others to the death? So, she also wanted to see if Lu Changsheng, this mighty senior, might know what was going on with her situation. Nascent soul 7th level. Northern Plains Cultivation Realm. Vermilion Bird Palace, Feathering Ice Palace, Ice Divine Palace. Self-destruction of nascent soul. Woke up inside an ancient charm. Upon hearing Hong Lian's words, Lu Changsheng's expression was filled with surprise and disbelief. He had not heard of the Northern Plains Cultivation Realm, nor of the 3 sects. However, based on their names, he roughly guessed that this Northern Plains Cultivation Realm must be similar to the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm. As for Hong Lian's cultivation level, nascent soul's 7th level, it also surprised him a little. Keep in mind that the number 1 cultivator of Jiang country, Li Duanshuan, was probably only at the early stage or middle stage of nascent soul. Yet the Hong Lian before him was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. This was quite astonishing. But Hong Lian's experience also made him feel deeply moved. A late-stage nascent soul cultivator, having gone through a battle over a secret realm's ruins to the extent of self-destructing her nascent soul. This was simply outrageous. So that's why, Hong Lian Sr., you have fallen into such a situation. It was only then that Su Rian beside him came to know of these matters. Previously, Hong Lian had not disclosed to her why she had fallen to such a state. Hong Lian, is this Northern Plains Cultivation Realm similar to the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm? Chapter 744, Hong Lian's Past, The Effect of Ancient Runes. Lu Changsheng inquired curiously. Upon hearing this, Hong Lian's heart immediately filled with surprise and doubt. She had not expected Lu Changsheng to be unaware of the Northern Wilderness Cultivation Realm. Young master, as a reincarnated great being, how can you not know about the 5 great cultivation realms? Could it be, he is not from the 5 great cultivation realms, but from beyond the 5 domains? But I have never heard that beyond the 5 domains, there are other cultivation continents. However, looking at his reaction, he seems to truly be unaware of this, and even appears very astonished by this information. Could it be? Seeing Lu Changsheng looking this way, Hong Lian's thoughts raced endlessly in her mind. She did not continue to ponder further but spoke out to explain to Lu Changsheng, that's right, the Northern Wilderness Cultivation Realm and the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm are both part of one of the 4 great cultivation realms. Besides the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm and the Northern Wilderness Cultivation Realm, there are also the Eastern Sea Cultivation Realm, the Western Desert Cultivation Realm, and the Central Continent. Hong Lian explained this way. The Eastern Sea, the Western Desert, the Southern Wilderness, the Northern Wilderness, the Central Continent. Lu Changsheng nodded thoughtfully upon hearing this. He had just realized how vast the cultivation world actually was. According to what he knew, the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm alone consisted of several hundred cultivation nations. Jiang country was but a small corner within the entire Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm. And apart from the Southern Wilderness, there were 4 other immense cultivation realms. He did not continue to ask further. After all, he was currently at the foundation establishment stage himself and had not even ventured beyond Jiang country cultivation realm, making places outside the Southern Wilderness far too distant for him. Hong Lian, rest assured, should the opportunity arise in the future, I will help solve the mysteries of your past and avenge you, Lu Changsheng spoke confidently. Although he was but a minor foundation establishment cultivator, the system by his side gave him the confidence and assurance to say these words to a nascent soul. Thank you, young master. Hong Lian was influenced by Lu Changsheng's calm and self-assured demeanor, momentarily startled, still pondering over Lu Changsheng's circumstances. That's right, it must be so. There are rumors of ancient beings transcending to break through their realm, reincarnating to recultivate their paths amidst the mortals. The young master must be aiming to follow a path similar to that ancient saint king of the central continent, with all memories sealed, reducing the essence of the Dragon Emperor physique and the Tao of the Central Continent Saint King to instincts, his goals set for this life. Even with the memories sealed, resembling an ordinary cultivator, this temperament and poise are clearly not something an average person could possess. This also clarifies why he lingered so many years in the secular world before. It must be that as the true spirit gradually awakens, he was able to retrieve the measures prepared in the previous life, allowing him to rise steadily. Hong Lian mulled this over in her heart. The more she thought about it, the more it seemed plausible, guessing Lu Changsheng's situation roughly. This brought her some joy. After all, serving the master was like accompanying a tiger. Being in the presence of an old monster reincarnated from a great being truly made her anxious. She feared offending him in some way, which might displease Lu Changsheng. But if the other had reincarnated and did not possess memories of his previous life, her interactions with him would obviously be much more relaxed. During this time, she could also cultivate feelings with Lu Changsheng as much as possible. Hong Lian, do you happen to possess any skills? What are you proficient in? Lu Changsheng suddenly inquired. Besides the perspective of a nascent soul true lord, which could prevent the household children from deviating in their cultivation journey, he also wanted to see what else Hong Lian knew and could teach. Young master, I have some understanding of beast taming, formation, alchemy, artifact refining, and talisman making, Hong Lian said softly. Some understanding? Lu Changsheng raised his eyebrows, asking for details. A third-rank top-tier beast tamer, third-order superior alchemist, third-rank middle-grade array master, third-rank lower-grade artifact refiner, third-rank lower-grade talisman master, Hong Lian stated. As a nascent soul cultivator who had lived for 1,000 years, apart from cultivating, she naturally spent time delving into various skills. Moreover, many skills that proved difficult for chi refinement and foundation establishment cultivators were much easier for nascent soul cultivators. Lu Changsheng. Well played, you got me there. Is this what you call some understanding? In that moment, Lu Changsheng couldn't help but feel impressed, truly worthy of a nascent soul true lord, to know so much. To have raised 5 skills to the 3rd rank. Encompassing all 4 mainstream cultivation arts. This made him curious to ask if Hong Lian, now in her soul state, was still capable of setting up arrays, refining pills, and refining artifacts. However, this question he planned to ask later, speaking out. Hong Lian, you're aware of my situation, aren't you? I'm aware of some of it. Hong Lian nodded in response. Now, with so many children at home, I don't have much time to instruct them in cultivation and skills, so I want to entrust this task to you, Lu Changsheng contemplated aloud. Hong Lian will certainly fulfill the task and teach the young masters and misses of the house well. Hong Lian hadn't expected Lu Changsheng to trust her so much that he would entrust such an important matter to her right from the start. After all, if Lu Changsheng were to follow the path of the Saint King of Central Continent, establishing a kingdom within the family, these children would be the foundation. The cultivation and education of these children were of utmost importance. If she were able to properly instruct and nurture these children, it would be a significant contribution. Earlier, she was still considering how she might prove her worth to Lu Changsheng. Seeing that Lu Changsheng entrusted such an important matter to her now relieved her. Good, since that's the case, the cultivation issues of the children at home will be your responsibility from now on, Lu Changsheng declared. He planned to organize the family's sutra pavilion when the time came and let Hong Lian be in charge. Or perhaps he would allow Lu Miaoyan to come teach the children with the ancient charm. Yes, young master, Hong Lian replied with a curtsy. She then spoke, young master, this ancient charm where my soul resides is named the ancient beast taming charm. Chapter 745, Hong Lian's Past, the Effect of Ancient Runes. It's helpful for nurturing demon beasts. If the young master's pet beasts need cultivating, you can entrust them to me for nurturing. However, this ancient beast taming charm is very compatible with Ruyan. If possible, I hope the young master can continue to let Ruyan wear it. Hong Lian said this. Upon hearing that elder Hong Lian was still looking out for her, Su Ruyan felt touched, and her guilt towards Hong Lian deepened. Ancient beast taming charm? nurturing demon beasts? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing felt a pause in his heart and his expression brightened with joy. He had just been wondering whether Hong Lian, as a top-tier, third-rank beast tamer, knew how to cultivate a cold blue dark turtle, a 9 netherhound, or a 6-winged golden silkworm. Unexpectedly, Hong Lian took the initiative to mention an ancient beast taming charm that could assist in nurturing pet beasts. As for the matter of the ancient beast taming charm, I'll leave it to you, Hong Lian. Could you tell me what specific effects or functions this charm has? Lu Changxing asked. Although he recognized that the charm was a treasure, he didn't actually think of carrying it on himself. Because he had many secrets. If he carried the charm, would it not mean that Hong Lian could see everything, leaving no privacy or secrets? After all, though Hong Lian had pledged her allegiance, he still did not trust her much and needed Mount Sumer to keep a close watch all the time. Thank you, young master. Seeing Lu Changxing agree so readily, Hong Lian was somewhat moved. On one hand, she made this request hoping to protect Su Ruyan through the charm. On the other hand, the charm's choice of Ruyan made her speculate that there must be some reason behind it all. She spoke up. Currently, the charm only has 2 effects, taming demon beasts and nurturing them, which is why I call it the ancient beast taming charm. The charm likely has other secrets, like the beast technique cultivation method that Miss Su practices, which I obtained from this charm, Hong Lian said openly, without any concealment. Taming demon beasts, nurturing demon beasts, beast technique. Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow. The 2 effects of the charm sounded simple, but he found them to be extremely powerful. Because most Dao soldiers are made from demon beasts. This charm could tame and nurture demon beasts. It was simply a treasured item for cultivating Dao soldiers. He wanted his own Blackwater dragon spirit weapon cultivated and thus asked aloud, Hong Lian, this charm should be able to nurture Dao soldiers, right? Any Dao soldier that is a demon beast can be nurtured, but the charm also needs to consume energy. If nurturing too many Dao soldiers, I might trouble the young master to provide spirit stones, and heavenly and earthly treasures, to replenish the charm's energy, Hong Lian said melodiously. That's not a problem, as long as it can nurture, that's fine. Lu Changxing didn't mind the consumption of spirit stones or heavenly and earthly treasures. He laughed and said, at the moment, there is a Dao soldier at my home that requires nurturing, and I'll trouble you with it when the time comes. By the way, may I take a look at that beast technique? Through what he knew about Su Ruyan, he guessed that this cultivation technique involved cultivating through demon beasts. He currently had 4 pet beasts. Pet beasts like the cold blue dark turtle and the 9 netherhound were rather underwhelming due to their slow growth. If this cultivation technique could let someone improve talent through demon beasts, he could allow his children to practice it at home. He could let his children use the pet beasts he obtained from system draws to practice this cultivation technique. Of course, you may, young master, Hong Lian said softly. Then she directed the ancient beast taming charm to Lu Changxing's forehead, where it bloomed with colorful rays of light, and a cultivation technique emerged in Lu Changxing's mind. After a while. Beast technique. This cultivation technique is truly profound. Having briefly looked over the technique, Lu Changxing couldn't help feeling that it was incomparably mysterious. It was completely different from the few techniques he had acquired so far. If cultivated normally, it would be a mere common-level technique. But this technique could evolve. Through contracting with spirit beasts, the technique could evolve and ascend in rank. And the technique would tailor itself to the type of pet beast, fitting perfectly and thus aiding in breaking through cultivation bottlenecks. The stronger the bloodline potential of the spirit beast, the greater the enhancement of the technique. For example, by forming a contract with an earth-grade bloodline spirit beast, this technique would then be about equivalent to a custom-tailored peripheral sect-level technique. If one could contract with a heavenly rank bloodline spirit beast, then the technique could be promoted to orthodox level. If one could contract with a true spirit, the technique could advance even further. This made Lu Changxing realize that the potential of this technique could even surpass that of orthodox level cultivation techniques. Using it himself and contracting and refining the Mount Sumer Tree King, he feared the technique could exceed the orthodox level. However, Lu Changxing had no intention of cultivating this technique. Firstly, cultivating this technique was very difficult. Not only did one need to comprehend the technique itself, but also the various accompanying techniques and divine skills would require much time to fathom. Cultivating this technique would be far less efficient than cultivating his 7 luminaries. Secondly, cultivating this technique would require investing a lot of time in nurturing demon beasts. Not to mention he didn't have this leisure. With the current state of the spirit vein at home, Mount Summer wouldn't be able to obtain much growth. So, using the Mount Summer Tree King for cultivation might be beneficial now, but it would become a burden later. Thirdly, it made more sense for the children at home to cultivate this technique, as the cost-performance ratio was obviously higher. Fourthly, Lu Changxing still held some expectations for the advanced level draw techniques within the system. He had obtained orthodox level cultivation techniques from the regular draws. The techniques from the advanced draws would obviously be higher than the orthodox level and wouldn't be weaker than this beast technique. This technique is not bad. Are there any restrictions on cultivating it? Lu Changxing withdrew his divine sense and asked Hong Lian. Young master, as long as one's comprehension is sufficient, and naturally if one has decent talent in beast taming, even better, said Hong Lian. Alright, let's leave it at that for now, said Lu Changxing. Come with me to seize the spirit weapon, he said without further inquiry. Yes, young master, replied Hong Lian, before his faint form dissipated, turning into red light points that returned to the ancient beast taming charm. The charm quietly landed in front of Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing reached out and picked up the charm. The material of this ancient charm was unknown. Unlike gold or jade, nor like stone or wood, it felt curiously soft and comfortable in his hand. With the charm in hand, Lu Changxing walked out of Mount Summer Cave Heaven and went to his own fish farm. Su Rian felt a sense of emptiness as she saw Lu Changxing take away the charm and leave. But thinking about the attitude of the venerable Hong Lian in front of Lu Changxing, she felt an indescribable sense of frustration and discomfort. It was as if one's cherished love was taken away, powerless to stop it and having to watch as that love catered and sacrificed itself for someone else. Moreover, during the process, one had to. It was like a knife twisting in her heart. Chapter 746, Family Heritage Enhancement, Conditions to Return to the Peak. _1 Hong Lian, can these Dao soldiers of mine, beings of the aquatic kind, be placed into the ancient beast taming charm? Lu Changxing pointed at the blackwater dragon fish and blackwater dragon serpents in the fish farm and spoke aloud. My lord, there's no problem, Hong Lian communicated to Lu Changxing through divine sense. Subsequently, the ancient charm flew out, its colorful radiance pervading the area, collecting all 21 blackwater dragon fish and 18 blackwater dragon serpents from the fish farm within it. My lord, currently, the space within the ancient charm can roughly enhance the growth rate of the Dao soldiers by 30%. Should the energy be sufficient and if cultivated with full effort, the increase can reach double. Hong Lian's voice continued to ring out. 30%, double. Lu Changxing nodded his head. This rate of growth may sound ordinary, but in reality, it is quite exaggerated. These demon beasts, having been refined into Dao soldiers, are already equipped with methods of cultivation, making their growth speed faster than that of ordinary demon beasts. On top of that, to have such an enhancement in their growth rate, it is truly astonishing. In other words, with full effort in nurturing them, it is estimated that in 30 to 40 years, a considerable number of Dao soldiers will be able to advance to the second rank. By then, Bai Ling would have already broken through the foundation establishment stage, commanding these Dao soldiers, likely possessing the combat power to contend with core formation. However, thinking of Bai Ling's temperament, Lu Changxing felt there must be a few among his children capable of cultivating the Black Dragon Codex, otherwise, it would be somewhat wasteful for these Dao soldiers. Hong Lian, aside from spirit stones, what heavenly materials and earthly treasures do you need? Lu Changxing put away the ancient charm and asked aloud. He was not concerned whether Hong Lian wished to use this as a means to restore her soul and strength. As long as she could properly nurture his family's spiritual beasts and Dao soldiers, and her demand for spirit stones was not excessive, everything was negotiable. After all, As long as it was within the domain of the Mount Summer Tree King by Lake Mountain, she presumably wouldn't be able to play any tricks. My lord, in terms of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, mainly monster cores and spiritual medicine, Hong Lian spoke and indicated that the ancient beast taming charm could absorb monster cores and spiritual medicines, transforming them into some kind of spiritual liquid that aids in the growth of demon beasts. Monster cores, spiritual medicines, good. Lu Changxing nodded once again, transforming into an escape light that returned to the alchemy room at Baiyun Peak. Seeing his daughter still sleeping soundly on the couch, his eyes revealed a touch of tenderness. He then took out 10,000 spirit stones, several monster cores, and a pile of spiritual medicines from 2 storage bags. The spoils he had obtained from the 6 robber cultivators causing trouble in Red Leaf Valley Market had not yet been dealt with or converted into spirit stones. Because dealing with them was not only troublesome, but also he would have to sell at a lower price. Right now, he was not in need of money. With his family's support, he could slowly process them or gradually sell them through other channels. You keep these spirit stones and spiritual medicines first, and let me know if you need more later, Lu Changxing said to Hong Lian. Yes, my lord, Hong Lian responded softly. Looking at the pill furnace in the center of the alchemy room, she felt somewhat astonished and doubtful. She had not expected Lu Changxing to also be skilled in alchemy. She had chatted with Su Ruiyan before and had not heard that Lu Changxing possessed alchemy skills. Afterwards, she saw Lu Changxing, with his movements gentle and cautious and a face full of affection, cradle Lu Wangshu in his arms. Rumors say that the Dragon Emperor body not only makes nurturing children easier, but the offspring are also likely to be born with exceptional talents. As Hong Lian thought of the rumors about the Dragon Emperor body, she had a thought. She had previously been with Su Ruiyan and seen Lu Wangshu. But at that time, she only sensed her from a distance and did not scrutinize her closely. Now seeing how much Lu Changxing doted on this daughter, Hong Lian couldn't help but observe her seriously. This little girl, she must possess some kind of latent spiritual body. After observing for a while, Hong Lian felt a surge of astonishment as she noticed something unusual about Lu Wangshu. Although she couldn't determine what specific spiritual body Lu Wangshu possessed, she could tell she likely had some kind of spiritual body. This revelation left her extremely surprised. Spiritual bodies are rare, 1 in a million. And through her conversations with Su Ruiyan, she knew that the talents of Lu Changxing's wives and concubines were nothing noteworthy. In such circumstances, to have a daughter casually possessing a rare and uncommon spiritual body was astonishing. Is this the power of the Dragon Emperor body? Truly terrifying, Hong Lian mumbled to herself, no longer doubting the truth of Lu Changxing's Dragon Emperor body. Yet, she couldn't help but be curious about how many of Lu Changxing's 100+ children possessed exceptional talents. Inside the alchemy room, Lu Changxing held his daughter Lu Wangshu in one arm while drawing talismans with the other hand. Hong Lian watched Lu Changxing's talisman-making skill flow like water, and she was mildly taken aback again. Because she could clearly see that Lu Changxing's talisman-making skill was nearly at the level of Dao, absolutely proficient. Even though her talisman-making skill was at the 3rd rank, she dared not say that she could draw 2nd-rank talismans as smoothly as Lu Changxing did. What kind of existence was he in his previous life? His spiritual root talent is merely low-grade, yet his skills and talents are so terrifying. Hong Lian was inwardly astonished. As a nascent soul true monarch, there were hardly any matters that could make her stirred on a regular basis. But today, everything about Lu Changxing left her incessantly wondering and moved. She felt as if the man before her was like a fog. The more she observed, the deeper and more unfathomable he seemed, making her, a nascent soul true monarch, unable to see through him. As time slowly passed, the sky began to lighten. Lu Wangshu woke up, bleary-eyed, and stretched languidly. Seeing that Lu Changxing was still holding her, she immediately beamed and said cheerfully, "Daddy, good morning." "Hee, you're awake." Lu Changxing looked at his daughter and his mood naturally improved as he gently pinched her chubby, fair cheek. Daddy, what about alchemy, the alchemy? Why didn't you wake me up?" Lu Wangshu looked around and, remembering about the elixir medicines, thought that Lu Changxing had already finished making them, pouting in a grievance. Chapter 747, Family Heritage Enhancement, Conditions to Return to the Peak. The elixir medicines aren't ready yet, look, they will be ready soon. Seeing his daughter in this state, Lu Changsheng's face showed an indulgent smile. He then set her down and struck a series of spells towards the alchemy furnace, reactivating the sealed furnace. As the flames in the furnace rekindled, the spiritual mechanism of the alchemy furnace surged, and Lu Changxing exclaimed softly, "Open." Boom! Billowing heat waves spread from the alchemy furnace, and after a moment, a stream of spiritual light flew out into Lu Changsheng's hand. "Wow, Daddy, you're so amazing. I want to see. By his side, Lu Wangshu, upon seeing this, immediately clapped her hands with excitement, wanting to see the elixir medicines in Lu Changsheng's hand. Lu Changxing chuckled, squatted down, and handed the crystal clear and plump spirit nurturing elixirs to his daughter to see. "It smells so good, Daddy, can I eat one?" Lu Wangshu said, unable to resist biting her finger as she looked at the elixir medicines. Lu Changxing glanced at his daughter. Immediately, he said, "These spirit-nurturing elixirs are for the turtle to eat, we can't eat them. If you want to eat, you can only eat this candy bean." While talking, Lu Changxing took out an elemental elixir to feed to his daughter. But Lu Wangshu still kept eyeing the spirit-nurturing elixirs in his hand, wanting to taste one. In the end, Lu Changxing, holding his daughter, left the alchemy room, fed a spirit-nurturing elixir to the cold blue dark turtle, and told her that these candy beans were not for her to eat. Lu Wangshu then gave up the idea of tasting them. Looking at the cold blue dark turtle in front of him, Lu Changxing wondered whether to apply the ancient beast taming charm for nurturing. But considering that his daughter would still need to feed and play with it every day, he decided against it for the time being. He planned to visit Rui Prefecture later and bring the 9 Netherhound back to nurture it with the ancient beast taming charm. Otherwise, more than 20 years had passed, and the 9 Netherhound was still at the late stage of first grade. He didn't know how long it would take to break through to the second rank. "Hong Lian, in your current state, are you still able to refine elixirs or cast techniques?" After handing his daughter to Chu Zhenjin, Lu Changxing asked Hong Lian. If Hong Lian was currently able to perform alchemy, artifact refining, talisman making, and array setting, it would be of great help to him and to the entire Bai Lake Mountain. "My lord, in my current state, my spirit is weakened, and I cannot stay away from the ancient beast taming charm for long, so I can only refine some simple elixir medicines. If my lord's needs aren't high, I can do a bit of alchemy, artifact refining, talisman making, and array setting." Hong Lian said so. "Good, later I will give you the cultivation method of the spirit weapon, and from now on, you will handle this matter," Lu Changxing said, planning to entrust the nurturing of the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon to Hong Lian. "Yes, my lord," Hong Lian responded. Back in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, Lu Changxing looked at Su Rian, who was still bound in the air with her delicate and cold features, shining supple hair, snow-white radiant skin, wearing only a fiery red dress with golden phoenix embroidery, her expression one of amusement, and said, "Miss Su, have you decided?" Su Rian shuddered upon hearing this and, after a long while, said in a low voice, I have decided." "Decided what?" Lu Changsheng's eyebrows raised as he asked. "Sigh." Hong Lian within the ancient beast taming charm sighed softly. She knew that at this juncture, it was all up to Su Rian herself. If she could overcome this obstacle, she could turn a dire situation into an opportunity. If not, there was nothing Hong Lian could do to help. "I am willing to serve Lu Master, as a slave and a maid," Su Rian said with clenched teeth, struggling through her words. The time Lu Changxing had left with Hong Lian felt like years to her, as she was constantly battling internally. She knew that Lu Changxing and Senior Hong Lian were right. She was indeed a captive. Hoping to leave this place clean and unscathed was simply not possible. He could easily have her if he wanted. What was the point of her struggling? So, she could only hope that he would keep his promises, which would be a considerable fortune amidst the misfortune. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changxing watched as Su Rian lowered her proud head and chuckled lightly. In an instant, Su Rian, who had been bound, fell from the air. Her long, snow-white legs slightly wobbled, and she stumbled as she landed in front of Lu Changxing, causing her chest to quiver. Truly pitiable. I remember when I first met Miss Su at the Jing family, she had an air of elegant nobility, Lu Changxing said as he stood in front of Su Rian, the two of them very close to each other, nearly brushing her delicate nose. He extended his hand, stroked her forehead gently, and twined a few strands of her fiery red shiny hair around his finger, saying, "To transform the esteemed pearl of the Su family into an obedient and docile maidservant has indeed some unique allure for Lu." Upon hearing these words, Su Rian felt a sharp pain in her heart. Her proud self-esteem seemed to be trampled by Lu Changxing. Once upon a time, she was the esteemed pearl of the Su family. Whether it was within the family or outside, everyone was courteous to her, let alone touching her like this. And now, she was being played with at will by Lu Changxing. She wanted to slap his hand away and reprimand him fiercely. But she knew that Lu Changxing was doing this on purpose, to make her submit, so she had to endure it. "Miss Su, do you know the proper attitude of a maidservant?" Lu Changxing eyed Su Rian, who stood tall and graceful, with disheveled hair and a strong, defiant look in her eyes. He lifted her delicate chin teasingly and said. Yet, in his heart, he couldn't help but feel a dark desire that every man harbors, to pull a highborn fairy down to hell, to dominate and play with her at will. Although the Su Rian before him did not possess the untouchable and lofty status of a fairy, as the pearl of the Su family, her status was indeed noble. Especially during their first meeting, she left him with a rather good impression. Thus, seeing her currently standing in front of him with a stubborn and humiliated expression, being toyed by him, truly had its own unique flavor. Chapter 748, Family Heritage Enhancement, Conditions to Return to the Peak. However, he knew that Su Rian before him still required proper training. In Su Rian's stubborn and beautiful eyes, confusion and helplessness emerged. As a young lady of her family, how could she possibly know what the attitude of a maidservant was like? Yet, thinking of how the maids at home served her, her slender, jade-like hands clenched into fists, and she bit her lip. Eventually, with a trembling figure, she knelt before Lu Changxing, bowing down. "Rian, pays her respects to the young master." Lu Changxing was somewhat surprised. He didn't expect Su Rian to adapt so quickly. He stroked his chin and said with a light laugh, "Take off your clothes." Su Rian didn't speak, her soft and fair jade arms lifted, somewhat trembling as she undid her undergarments. With the undergarments falling to the floor and resting on her beautiful feet, her naked, exquisite body was fully revealed. Tsk, this adaptability, this change of heart, truly is extraordinary. But even here it is fiery red. Lu Changxing regarded the seductive figure of Su Rian before him, clicking his tongue inwardly. However, even though Su Rian seemed submissive, kneeling before him, there was still a trace of haughtiness and inviolability in her expression. Not at all like the maids in the white jade tower who had been trained, their eyes dull and lifeless. But having light in her eyes, slowly training her myself, seems more interesting. Lu Changxing touched his chin and said. Su Rian, though incapable of actively flirting and serving in a charming manner, even clumsy and inexperienced in serving, if she were to completely submit under his training, it seemed to him that there could indeed be a different kind of interest and sense of achievement. "That's enough, tidy yourself up. Just stand by the side, I will call you if there's anything I need," Lu Changxing, feeling somewhat heated at the sight of the enticing body before him, said to Su Rian. He didn't directly pluck the tempting fruit before him. After all, such things are more interesting when done slowly. And he didn't want Su Rian to change so noticeably all at once. After speaking, he returned the ancient beast taming charm to Su Rian. He didn't want to go too far, it was also to give Hong Lian some respect. The ancient beast taming charm returned to the sea of consciousness in Su Rian's forehead. Hong Lian said nothing, knowing that at this time, Su Rian needed to be left alone quietly. Su Rian also didn't speak, her expression wooden. She knew the moment she called for Lu Changxing to stay, she could only obediently listen and cooperate. In fact, deep down, she didn't have the courage to resist Lu Changxing. After all, even the senior Hong Lian had submitted to Lu Changxing. Her resistance would be nothing but self-inflicted suffering. My lord, in the Grand Hall's bedroom, Ling Zixiao was suddenly embraced by Lu Changxing and let out a soft whine through her nostrils. 3 days later, Lu Changxing returned to Rui Prefecture for a while and brought the 9 Netherhound back to Bai Lake Mountain. This, another heavenly rank bloodline demon beast. Hong Lian was shocked to see Lu Changxing bringing back a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast. Although to her, a nascent soul true lord, a heaven rank beast was not exceedingly rare, it wasn't commonplace either. Su Rian also saw the 9 Netherhound. This caused her to be shocked, and at the same time, to believe in Lu Changxing's words a bit more. After all, Lu Changxing had already revealed 3 heavenly rank bloodline demon beasts and 1 true spirit level demon beast. Who knew if there were any more heavenly rank demon beasts? As long as she behaved and performed well, it didn't seem like a big deal to give herself one. Subsequently, Lu Changxing briefly explained the situation with Hong Lian to Lu Miaoyun. He stated that for the children's cultivation, they should consult with Hong Lian directly. On the first day of each month, they would bring the ancient beast taming charm to their children for cultivation guidance and pointers. At the same time, Lu Changxing gave Hong Lian the cultivation methods of the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon as well as all other techniques from the system. After all, in order to have Hong Lian give guidance in cultivation, he definitely had to pass on the techniques to her. Faced with this situation, Hong Lian forthwith disclosed her inheritance from Vermilion Bird Palace. It included 2 orthodox-level cultivation techniques, 7 peripheral sect-level cultivation techniques, more than 10 exquisite-level cultivation methods, and the inheritance of 5 third-rank skills. One could say that with this contribution from Hong Lian, Lu Changxing's family became the #1 in Jiang country regarding the foundation of cultivation techniques. Would this be too much? Seeing Hong Lian disclose so many inheritances, Lu Changxing said somewhat apologetically. Hong Lian is now the young master's person, these techniques and inheritances naturally belong to the young master, Hong Lian said deferentially. The favor of a lady is indeed hard to accept. Lu Changxing felt somewhat at a loss due to Hong Lian's actions. After all, he had promised to restore her physical body and bring her back to her peak. But now he hadn't done anything yet. And here Hong Lian was, starting to cultivate demon beast Dao soldiers for him and teach his children. Moreover, she contributed so many techniques and inheritances all at once, which really made him feel a bit embarrassed. Hong Lian, you are now only left with your divine soul. If you want to restore your body and return to the peak, just the soul fusion resurrection elixir might not be enough, right? Lu Changxing asked Hong Lian. Young master, with the soul fusion resurrection elixir, as long as I have a body, I will be able to merge with it and come back to life. However, in such a state, returning to the peak would be almost hopeless. To return to the peak, I must have a suitable body that can match and accommodate my divine soul. Moreover, my divine soul is currently weak. I can only rely on the ancient beast taming charm for nourishment, and to return to the peak and perfectly fuse with a body, my divine soul must also recover to its peak. Hong Lian spoke, her voice tinged with bitterness. With the soul fusion resurrection elixir, resurrection was simple for her. The challenge was returning to her peak strength. If she randomly chose a body and took the soul fusion resurrection elixir, not to mention returning to her peak, even returning to the nascent soul stage would be hopeless. A suitable body? Restoring the divine soul? Hearing this, Lu Changxing's brows raised and he said, what exactly qualifies as a suitable body? Young master, for example, the bones of a nascent soul cultivator can be used to refine an external incarnation of spiritual objects from heaven and earth, or a body shaped by some heavenly materials and treasures, Hong Lian, knowing that Lu Changxing was unfamiliar with these details, explained. The bones of a nascent soul cultivator, refining an external incarnation of spiritual objects from heaven and earth, a body shaped by heavenly materials and treasures. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing's mouth twitched. He felt that, aside from relying on the system, it was nearly impossible for him to obtain these items at the moment. He spoke, "All right, I will keep an eye out for these things for you." Although he wouldn't immediately resurrect Hong Lian even if he had such treasures now, he naturally couldn't speak poorly given her expression of intent. "Thank you, young master." Hong Lian's voice was soft and pleasing as she spoke. In addition to the matter of mentoring the children, upon seeing Ling Zixiao still setting up the divine wood great formation by herself, Lu Changxing promptly asked Hong Lian to assist Ling Zixiao with the formation and exchange knowledge about formations with her in their spare time. After all, as a third-rank array master, Hong Lian's pointers would be greatly beneficial to Ling Zixiao. Chapter 749, The Auction Begins, Heavenly Longevity Technique Mastered. _1 Before she knew it, more than a month had passed. With Hong Lian present, Lu Miao's guidance on her children's cultivation became much simpler. However, even with Hong Lian, not all of her children started cultivating top-tier cultivation techniques. Most were still cultivating exquisite-level cultivation techniques, and even advanced-level ones. For the majority, unless one had an exceptional talent and a perfect affinity, forcibly cultivating peripheral sect-level or even orthodox-level top-tier cultivation techniques would yield minimal progress, despite succeeding in the initial stages, due to its inefficiency and unworthiness. During this time, Lu Changxing had no particular arrangements for Su Ruyan. He simply let her serve like a maid, carrying tea and water, massaging and bathing, and occasionally teasing her to add some joy to the mundane days. Since the auction at Red Leaf Valley Market was approaching. On this day, Lu Changxing, accompanied by his wife Lu Miaohuan and Chu Zhenzhen, his children Lu Pingan, Lu Xianji, Lu Chuanzhen, Lu Qingsong, Lu Wangshu, and others, arrived at Red Leaf Valley Market to attend the auction. Because of the fame of Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, coupled with nearly half a year's build-up by the marketplace, Red Leaf Valley Market had attracted a great number of cultivators, making it much livelier. "You guys go have a look around on your own," Lu Changxing said to Lu Pingan and his siblings as he held on to his daughter Lu Wangshu. Bai Lake Mountain had been in a semi-closed state for over 3 years, and the children had not left during that time. Now that they rarely went out, he naturally let them roam freely. Furthermore, with no movement from Xiahou Wuwa in over 3 years, Lu Changxing also planned to lift the semi-closed state of the mountain, allowing some of his children to go out. After all, if Xiahou Wuwa did not appear, he couldn't keep his children confined to the family forever. Many of the family's businesses gradually needed the children to start managing them. Moreover, in the past few years, through the collection of talisman-making materials, he had nurtured over a dozen rare third-rank spirit talismans by using the talisman nurturing method. When the time came, he could implant life-saving talismans into some of his children who were going out. "Yes, father." "Thank you, father." The siblings replied to Lu Changxing. Lu Xianji and Lu Rui, who had lived in Red Leaf Valley Marketplace for a while in the early years, introduced the marketplace to their older brother, younger brother, and sisters. Lu Changxing strolled through the market with his wives, checking on the businesses owned by his family. At that moment, walking through the marketplace, he encountered countless cultivators who showed him respect, admiration, envy, and infatuation. Many young girls and female cultivators' eyes seemed to glisten with water as they glanced at Lu Changxing. If he were willing at that moment, he could probably just signal, and many female cultivators would eagerly offer to become his concubines. This was not because his charm had increased. He had always contained the charm that emanated from him at all times. But as his fame and status grew, so did his charm rise to a whole new level. Lu Changxing arrived at Peace Talisman Hall. Under Gao He's management and Lu Changsheng's reputation, Peace Talisman Hall had become the #1 spirit talisman shop in Red Leaf Valley Market. "Old Gao, you've worked hard these years. If you're thinking of retiring, you can come to Bai Lake Mountain," Lu Changxing said as he saw his old friend Gao He. The two knew each other for more than 2 decades. Gao He, now in his 60s, looked quite elderly with gray hair and numerous wrinkles. His once full face was now thinner, but the traces of his former robustness remained visible. "Thank you for the kind offer, boss," Gao He replied respectfully, looking at the eternally youthful, outstanding man in a blue robe before him. He rarely saw Lu Changxing these years. But with every meeting, as he himself grew older and saw the forever young Lu Changxing, he couldn't help but be filled with emotion. Who could have imagined that the son-in-law of the Lu family, with whom he once bragged and discussed the talisman path, would now become a patriarch of a territory? After briefly discussing the shop situation, Lu Changxing left with his wives and concubines. Upon seeing Lu Miaoge, Lu Changxing asked, "Sister Miaoge, how is the collection of materials for your water of virtue container and the Tai Chi talisman going?" "The materials for the water of virtue container have been gathered. The Tai Chi talisman is still missing 2 components," Lu Miaoge responded softly. However, she would still need an artifact refiner to craft her life-bound spiritual artifact. "After the auction is over, I will craft it for you," Lu Changxing said. Because of the cultivation technique inheritance from the system, he had mastered crafting the life-bound spiritual artifact related to the water of virtue technique. He could help Lu Miaoge craft the embryo of the spiritual artifact. "Okay," Lu Miaoge, somewhat astonished, still chose to trust Lu Changxing and nodded in agreement. 5 days later, the auction officially began. Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, elder ancestor of the Su family, and many powerful families from the surrounding area, along with a good number of foundation establishment loose cultivators, came to Red Leaf Valley Market to join the auction. Because the auction had been hyped up for so long, several major families brought out many valuable items. Lu Changxing also took out some second-rank talismans as finale items. "Greetings to Lu Mountain Lord. Madam Lu. Daoist Zhao, Daoist Lin, Daoist Li, Daoist Xiao," Lu Changxing, with his wife and holding his daughter Lu Wangshu, greeted and made small talk with the foundation establishment ancestors from other family powers. During this time, he spotted Su Ringguang. The man's expression carried a trace of worry. Through casual conversation, Lu Changxing learned that Su Ringguang was troubled because his granddaughter Su Rian had run away from home, which gave Lu Changxing a peculiar feeling. After all, his granddaughter Su Rian was currently acting as a maid in his own home. "Thank you all, esteemed seniors and friends, for joining us. Lu Chuanjun, Bai Yujun, honored to host the auction today. I wish everyone can obtain what they wish for." After the audience nearly filled the venue, a man and a woman stepped onto the stage of the auction. The man was about 20 years old, wearing an elegant blue brocaded robe, with refined and handsome features, and long, deep eyes. Chapter 750, The Auction Begins, Heavenly Longevity Technique Mastered. The girl was around 18 or 19 years old, clad in a white, gorgeous dress, with a slender figure and a sweet, pretty face. Now the Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain was nearly leading the 4 great families, which was why the auction was hosted by people dispatched by Lu Changxing. Hence, Lu Changxing picked among his children and had his son Lu Chuanjun oversee it. As for Bai Yujun, she was a daughter of the Bai family from Hundred Birds Lake. Lu Changxing felt it somewhat improper for his family to have full control over the entire process. By having the Bai family arrange for someone to appear, it would just so happen to make a paired set with 1 male and 1 female. "Husband, this young lady looks quite a match for Chuanjun." Chu Zhenjin, standing nearby, saw her son with the Bai family girl on stage, and excitement flashed across her face. She had always been urging her son, Lu Chuanjun, to marry. But her son avoided her every day, which led her to try matchmaking whenever she saw him near any girl. He. Lu Changxing did not wish to get involved in this topic. Because if he responded to Chu Zhenjin even briefly, she would surely act coquettishly and have him go and work on Lu Quanzhen's mindset. Caught between being both a husband and a father, he found himself in a difficult position. "Mom, brother really doesn't want to get married. If you say something, he will just avoid you even more, and it's still early." Lu Caizhen put an arm around her mother's and spoke in defense of her brother. After all, Lu Chuanjun was somewhat stern on normal days, but he was extremely caring towards his younger brothers and sisters. "What do you mean it's early? Your Yun brother is a year younger than Chuanjun, and he already has 3 children. And you're not young anymore either, you can't be like your brother." Chu Zhenjin said somewhat grievously. Hearing this, Lu Caizhen's head shrank, and she immediately went quiet, fearing the fire might be drawn to herself. Sisters Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan nearby both smiled at this scene. Watching Lu Chuanjun hosting the auction on stage brought Lu Miaohuan to think of her eldest son, Lu Qingshan. Compared to her somewhat more honest younger son, Lu Qingsong, she favored the normally mischievous Lu Qingshan more. After all, her son might be naughty, but he brought joy to their daily lives, often cheerfully brightening up his mother's mood. Moreover, she hadn't seen this son for nearly 5 years. Huan, what's wrong? Lu Changsheng, with his keen perception, noticed that his wife, Lu Miaohuan, suddenly seemed a bit downcast. It's nothing. Lu Miaohuan came back to her senses and spoke softly. Even though she longed to visit her son at the Jinyang sect in Yu country, she knew the current family circumstances prevented Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoge from leaving. Lu Changsheng held her delicate and fair hand without uttering a word, knowing that Lu Miaohuan missed her son Lu Qingshan. Over the years, Lu Miaohuan often found herself thinking of this son. The first item for auction, War Beast Puppet, crafted by our Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, is a first-grade top-quality item, capable of offense and defense, with excellent speed, and inscribed with several techniques. At this moment, Lu Chuanjun had started to introduce the first item up for auction. This was a puppet crafted by the Blue Lake Mountain Puppet Workshop. However, it couldn't yet be mass-produced, so it was being used for promotional purposes, to build a reputation. Chuanjun is doing quite well, his management of his first auction is orderly and composed. Lu Miaoge voiced her praise. Chuanjun indeed handles this aspect very well. I was planning to have Xianji take charge, but in such occasions, his personality makes him too rigid and prone to stage fright. Lu Changsheng, reclining on a soft chair, nodded in agreement. Chu Zhenjin, as a mother, beamed with happiness when she heard her son being praised. Besides not listening to her teachings, in other aspects, her son indeed gave her peace of mind, which made her proud. Especially the way he treated his younger brothers and sisters regularly reminded her of her own elder brother, Chu Changge. Time passed bit by bit. The auction was divided into 3 sessions and lasted 3 days before concluding, and the scale was anything but small. But the Red Leaf Valley market was, after all, just an auction held by a few foundation establishment families, so the grade of the auction items was limited. Lu Changsheng didn't think it was appropriate to offer 2 rare items. For example, the treasure map he prepared for auction. After some deliberation, he decided against auctioning it. Otherwise, he only needed to produce a single foundation establishment elixir and start advertising the treasure maps, and the auction might have been 10 times busier. After the auction ended, Lu Changsheng and the other 3 families had already negotiated to open some beneficial regulations for the market, trying their best to retain some of the traffic. Also, after the auction, Lu Changsheng and the ancestral figures of other families, as well as loose cultivators at the foundation establishment level, held a trade meeting. Even though he didn't find what he wanted, he managed to gather the 2 materials needed for Lu Miaoge to refine her life-bound spiritual artifact, the Tai Chi talisman. Father-in-law, how is the situation with the foundation establishment at home progressing? Upon seeing Lu Yuanding, Lu Changsheng asked about the foundation establishment at Qingzhou Mountain. The family recently spent a significant sum to purchase a earth fire essence. Mu Ping has a fire spiritual root and switched to practicing the greenwood solar flame technique, so this earth fire essence suits him well. Moreover, Miao Feng, due to past events, is also considering making concessions, planning to go out and try his luck on his own. Lu Yuanding said with a slight sigh. He too was quite troubled about the foundation establishment for these 2 individuals. Lu Miaofeng had a 4th-grade spiritual root and had already attempted foundation establishment once, making his odds of breaking through considerably higher. But due to his previous foundation establishment failure, Lu Miaofeng might encounter a heart demon, feel excessive pressure, fear another failure, and disappoint the family expectations. Compared to Lu Miaofeng, Lu Muping was only 40 years old and even younger. Lu Changsheng nodded, without interjecting further. Since the chances of both individuals breaking through to foundation establishment were closely matched, Qingzhou Mountain was more concerned about the situation than he was. Chapter 751, The Auction Begins, Heavenly Longevity Technique Mastered. With the auction fully concluded, Lu Changxing also prepared to return to Bai Lake Mountain with his wife and children. Father, at this time, Lu Chuanjun expressed to Lu Changxing that he wished to leave home to gain experience and venture out into the world. To go out and gain experience? Lu Changxing frowned slightly upon hearing this. He had long known that this son of his harbored a desire to travel and adventure. If it weren't for the establishment of Bai Lake Mountain and being called back home by himself, he probably would have gone out long ago. Wait until you break through to the 6th level energy refinement. Lu Changxing looked at his son in front of him, speaking after a slight pause. He could understand his children wanting to leave home for experience, not willing to settle within the family. After all, most members of big families were clear about one thing: if they settled within the family, without venturing out for experience, it was highly unlikely to achieve foundation establishment in their lifetimes unless they had exceptional talent. Even though the conditions at Bai Lake Mountain were far superior to those of Qingzhou Mountain, Hundred Birds Lake, Wugong Ridge, and even the Yushui Su family and other family powers, they still couldn't train many of their children to achieve foundation establishment. At most, they could train them up to the energy refinement late stage. To establish a foundation would still be up to them. And Lu Chuanjun obviously saw this point. He knew his own spiritual route was not good, just an 8th grade spiritual route, so he had planned his life's path early on. However, in Lu Changxing's view, a cultivation level at the 5th level energy refinement was still a bit too low. When he reached the 6th level, if his son still wanted to go out, he would give him a life-saving spirit talisman. Many thanks, Father. Upon hearing this, Lu Chuanjun immediately responded with respect. He knew that if his father agreed to it, then the matter was settled. Use this time to prepare your mother mentally, don't just run off without saying a word. Lu Changxing said as he patted his son's shoulder. The fledgling eagle must spread its wings. If this son did not have his own opinions and the desire to venture out, in his heart, he would have actually been inclined to hand over the position of family head to him. Given the personalities of Lu Pingan, Lu Xianji, and Lu Yun, they did not quite suit the role of Bai Lake Mountain family head. Father, you know that if I tell Mother, she definitely won't agree, so I can only trouble you with this. Lu Chuanjun, with a handsome face, showed a helpless and bitter smile. Sigh, just be a bit more accommodating to your mother, that's all, don't constantly avoid her. The more you avoid her, the more she'll worry. If it really comes to it, just tell her that on this trip to gain experience, you'll also keep an eye out for a woman you love. Lu Changxing shook his head as he spoke. He too had often been troubled by Chu Zhenjin urging Lu Chuanjun to get married. Yes, I understand, Father. Lu Chuanjun smiled, making the corners of his eyes seem more elongated. His facial features were similar to Lu Changxing's by 70%, but his eyebrows and eyes were inherited from his mother, especially when he smiled. After returning to Bai Lake Mountain with his wives and children, Lu Changxing briefly dealt with some family affairs and his children's situations before returning to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. My lord. Su Ruyan, in a flaring red dress with a fine and stunning face, immediately greeted Lu Changxing with great respect upon seeing him. Emichim, I encountered your grandfather at the auction. He's very worried about your situation. Lu Changxing said with a light smile. Grandfather. Su Ruyan's delicate body trembled violently when she heard this. Having been in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven for so long, what concerned her the most was the situation back home. She said with downcast eyes, Thank you, my lord, for informing me. When you left home, did you say anything about when you would return? Lu Changxing's voice was gentle as he wrapped his arms around her slender, snake-like waist and drew her into his embrace, asking softly. The action and his concerned tone made Su Ruyan's heart tremble. If it wasn't for knowing another side of Lu Changxing, she would have found herself unable to resist falling for him in such close quarters. Sometimes, she even wondered if the outcome would be different if she hadn't resorted to stealing and instead had chosen to marry Lu Changxing proactively. Nothing. Su Ruyan tensed slightly, her delicate body leaning obediently against Lu Changxing's chest, letting his strong arms enfold her. She knew that to win Lu Changxing's favor, she had to appear docile and obedient in front of him. You have a life token, a soul lamp, and such items at home, don't you? Lu Changxing sat down on a bamboo chair nearby, embracing her graceful figure and twirling a strand of her fiery red, crystal-clear hair between two fingers. The silky smooth texture of Su Ruiyan's hair was very comforting to touch, something he often played with. Moreover, over the course of more than a month under his tutelage, she had gradually begun to nuzzle his palm on her own initiative, like a docile kitten, giving him an intense sense of achievement. It could only be said that bullying women was also in a man's nature. Yes, Su Ruiyan murmured softly. Despite the humiliation and the control over her movements now, she sadly found herself gradually becoming accustomed to it. Since you have a life token and a soul lamp, your family won't worry. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly. After teasing Su Ruiyan for a while, he entered the Changxing Hall's cave dwelling and began to craft a spiritual artifact embryo for Lu Miaoge. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. On this day, as usual, Lu Miaoyan came to the back mountain of the Lingxiu cliff. She took out the formation command given to her by Ling Zixiao, stepped into the formation, and looked at the luminous treasure tree before her. Heavenly longevity technique, refine. Lu Miaoyan sat cross-legged in front of the luminous treasure tree, her hands forming seals, using her internal spiritual power to refine the luminous treasure tree in front of her. To say it was refining was actually more akin to merging. Because after more than a year of refinement, she had already established a connection with the luminous treasure tree, the two almost becoming one. She could even vaguely sense the emotions of the luminous treasure tree. Now the task was to completely refine the luminous treasure tree, making it her life-bound spiritual root, merging completely with her. As she refined the luminous treasure tree, a surge of qi from the tree rushed into Lu Miaoyan's body. What's this? Lu Miaoyan suddenly felt her spiritual power uncontrollably pouring out of her, being devoured by the luminous treasure tree. In the past, it was always her nourishing the luminous treasure tree with her spiritual power. But this time, the luminous treasure tree actively devoured her spiritual power, causing her complexion to turn pale. Lu Miaoyan, realizing something, immediately took out several spirit stones from her storage bag to recover her spiritual power. At the same time, she poured out a bottle of spiritual liquid for the luminous treasure tree. Buzz, just as Lu Miaoyan's spiritual power was nearly drained by the luminous treasure tree, a mysterious and subtle vibration surged into her heart, making her whole person feel light and clear. Who? A torrent of spiritual mechanism emerged from the luminous treasure tree, enveloping Lu Miaoyan completely, beckoning countless nature's spiritual energies to roll towards her and enter her body. Boom! In an instant, Lu Miaoyan's body shook violently, and a breeze swept around her. The bottleneck she had faced for years, from the 6th level energy refinement to the 7th level energy refinement, was broken in that moment. But it didn't stop there. A rich essence of plants and trees, the origin source from the luminous treasure tree, continued to pour into her body. Chapter 752, The Effect of the Heavenly Longevity Technique, Heading to the White Jade Tower. _1 atop by Yin Peak. Ling Zixiao was with Su Ruiyan, arranging that the divine would great formation. Sensing the spiritual energy of Lingsui Cliff and the operation of the formation, her expression became slightly focused. She immediately stopped setting up the formation and flew towards Lingsui Cliff to check the situation. Is this, the Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique, successful? After Ling Zixiao arrived at the back mountain of Lingsui Cliff, she saw Lu Miaoyan and the luminous treasure tree enveloped in a mist of spiritual mechanisms, seemingly as one entity. Although she had seen the Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique before, she did not know the specific effects of its refinement. Moreover, since this cultivation technique involved refining different nature's spirit plants into one's life-bound spiritual root, results could vary significantly. She immediately took out a yin-yang sensing talisman to have Lu Changxing come over and take a look. Changxing Hall, in the retreat cave dwelling. The Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique has succeeded? Lu Changxing was in the process of refining a spiritual artifact embryo when he received Ling Zixiao's message. He immediately got up, left Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and came to Lingsui Cliff. There he saw Lu Miaoyan sitting cross-legged, inhaling and exhaling the surrounding spiritual energy of nature. At this moment, she and the luminous treasure tree's mechanisms were merged, indistinguishable from each other. Zi Xiao, gather spiritual energy, Lu Changxing said directly to Ling Zixiao, instructing her to converge the surrounding spiritual energy towards Lingsue Cliff. He also took out several middle-grade spirit stones from his storage bag, crushing them to release the rich spiritual energy within. He could tell that Lu Miaoyan was likely in the process of refining the luminous treasure tree into her life-bound spiritual root. However, because the growth grade of the spirit plant was quite high and Lu Miaoyan's cultivation level was too low, she received nourishment from the spirit tree, causing a breakthrough in her cultivation level. Good. Ling Zixiao nodded, took out an array plate, pinched a spell, and drew the spiritual energy from all around Lingsue Cliff towards them. Hu, as the spiritual energy of nature entered her body, Lu Miaoyan's cultivation level, after breaking through the 7th level energy refinement, climbed step by step. After about half a day, her cultivation level broke through from the 7th level energy refinement to the 8th level energy refinement. Could Miaoyan possibly be going for a direct breakthrough to foundation establishment? Ling Zixiao looked at the situation unfolding before her and said with a light smile. Likely not, judging from this turbulence. It's not enough for a breakthrough to foundation establishment, Lu Changxing shook his head and said. The current activity, although not minor, was still far from the level required for a foundation establishment breakthrough. It was simply not comparable. Another day passed, and Lu Miaoyan's cultivation level broke through from the 8th level energy refinement to the 9th level energy refinement. After breaking through to the 9th level energy refinement, the spiritual mechanisms emanating from the luminous treasure tree and the spiritual energy of nature continued, but the movements gradually diminished. Husband, Sister Zi Xiao, a day later, Lu Miaoyan opened her eyes and, filled with joy, looked at Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao before her. Her face appeared much younger at this moment, and she exuded vitality from head to toe, giving a sense of vibrancy. Congratulations to my Miaoyan on mastering the heaven and earth longevity technique, a promising future on the path of immortality. A smile spread across Lu Changsheng's face as he congratulated his wife. Usually, Lu Miaoyan and others would be the ones offering congratulations to her. It was rare for her to congratulate her wife. Congratulations, Miaoyan. Ling Zixiao also said with a beaming smile while taking a closer look at Lu Miaoyan's condition. When Lu Miaoga had her foundation establishment breakthrough, both her appearance and temperament underwent a dramatic change, as if she was reborn. Lu Miaoyan was no exception at this moment. Not only did she look much younger, but she also seemed like a precious tree of verdant greenery, making the air around her feel all the fresher. Thank you, husband, and thank you, Sister Zi Xiao. If it weren't for my husband and Sister Zi Xiao, how could I have perfected this technique? Lu Miaoyan said this while looking at Lu Changxing, her eyes filled with tenderness and affection. Without Lu Changxing, she would have found it difficult to cultivate to the 9th level energy refinement in her lifetime. But now, under Lu Changsheng's arrangement, she cultivated the heaven and earth longevity technique, refining the luminous treasure tree into her life-bound spiritual root, and directly breaking through to the 9th level energy refinement. Moreover, she could clearly sense that she and the luminous treasure tree were perfectly integrated. With the passage of time and the changing of seasons, as the luminous treasure tree grew, the origin of plants and trees would continuously enter her body, as if she herself were cultivating. Now, foundation establishment was only a matter of time for her. Yuner, after you practiced this technique, do you feel any changes? Lu Changxing asked Lu Miaoyan. The heaven and earth longevity technique was the only top-tier technique in the family that was learned from outside, so his understanding of it was limited. I feel like I've formed a profound connection with the luminous treasure tree, merging into one entity, and able to slightly control the tree, she replied. However, once I move away from the tree, the connection between us gradually weakens, and eventually breaks, resulting in the failure of the technique, she continued. Moreover, the spiritual power inside me has transformed from the original greenwood art, now completely into the botanical force of the heaven and earth longevity technique. Lu Miaoyan began to describe her current state, indicating that after perfecting the heaven and earth longevity technique, her lifespan had noticeably increased. However, due to the conversion of her spiritual power into the botanical force of the heaven and earth longevity technique, her spiritual strength had weakened considerably, primarily geared towards nurturing. It was difficult to increase her cultivation realm through elixir medicines. It could only be gradually raised through the growth of the luminous treasure tree. The advantage of this spiritual power was its ability to preserve her looks, beautify, and nourish both her physical body and soul. Even as she aged, her body would remain vigorous and her condition would not significantly decline. Additionally, she gained insight into how to cultivate the luminous treasure tree so that it would grow as quickly as possible. And she could spend her origin source to make the luminous treasure tree quickly condense the luminous sweet dew, without having to wait for the 30-year growth cycle. It's good that there are no side effects, Lu Changxing remarked. As for the luminous sweet dew, if you have time, Yuner, you could try to accelerate its formation and see how effective it is. Chapter 753, The Effect of the Heavenly Longevity Technique, Heading to the White Jade Tower. Lu Changxing smiled as he spoke. The only thing he was worried about was the heavenly longevity technique. Besides the few issues mentioned above, there might be other side effects. Okay, Lu Miaoyun nodded gently in agreement. Let's go. To celebrate Yun'er's successful cultivation of the heavenly longevity technique, we should celebrate properly. Lu Changxing stepped forward, took his wife's hand, and laughed. Then he returned to Bai Yun Peak and instructed a family banquet to be held in celebration of Lu Miaoyun. Although the wives and children at home didn't know what was happening, many sensed the earlier situation at Lingsue Cliff. Seeing the changes in Lu Miaoyun's appearance and temperament, everyone guessed and congratulated her aloud. Lu Miaohuan and Chu Zhenzhen were aware of the situation concerning the heavenly longevity technique. Seeing the changes in Lu Miaoyun's appearance and temperament, a touch of envy inevitably showed deep in their eyes. Although they didn't have much desire to pursue foundation establishment, as women, they all had a love for beauty. Moreover, the effects described by the heavenly longevity technique were tantalizing. The notion of automatic cultivation was undoubtedly tempting. Lu Changxing keenly sensed this, sighing slightly in his heart. Now, if anyone in the family wanted to continue practicing the heavenly longevity technique, new spirit plants were needed from heaven and earth, and the spirit vein under Bai Shui Lake had to advance to second rank. Otherwise, it would be difficult to afford the consumption. The parasitic spirit plants nurtured by Mount Sumeru should be able to grow directly from Mount Sumeru, right? Lu Changxing pondered. However, nurturing a parasitic spirit plant would consume a large amount of Mount Sumeru's vitality, something he was reluctant to do for the time being. Late at night. Afterwards. Lu Changxing hugged the plump and fair-skinned Lu Miaoyun, covered in glistening sweat, a hint of astonishment in his eyes. He found that after dual cultivating with Lu Miaoyun, his clarity of mind and vision slightly improved. Although the sensation was weak and hard to detect, this wasn't their first time dual cultivating, so he was particularly sensitive to it. It made him think of the effects of the luminous sweet dew condensed by the luminous treasure tree. Applying the luminous sweet dew on the eyes could sharpen one's vision, enhancing spiritual eye-related techniques and divine skills. Husband, what's wrong? Lu Miaoyun lazily lay in Lu Changxing's arms, her bewitching eyes soft, her cheeks flushed, and she asked in a gentle voice. Just now, I felt as if I experienced a slight improvement in mental clarity and vision, Lu Changxing said softly. Then he pinned his wife beneath him again, ready to repeat the process several times, to determine if it was an illusion. Accompanied by soft moans, after several rounds of exertion, Lu Changxing was sure it was not an illusion. Indeed, after dual cultivating with Lu Miaoyun, there was a slight effect on mental clarity and vision. However, this boost was almost negligible for him, and it would probably take many years to see a noticeable effect. Lu Changxing didn't mind this and treated it as a little extra spice to their intimate moments. Half a month later. Sister Miaoga, this is your Tai True water bottle. From now on, you can temper it with your own mana and sculpt it, Lu Changxing said. That day, Lu Miaoga came back and used Tai True water to nourish Ling Zixio's meridians and Dantian. Lu Changxing took out a bottle that appeared to be carved from mutton fat jade. It was the prototype of the Tai True water bottle. Thank you, husband. Seeing this, Lu Miaoge took the Tai True water bottle, her beautiful eyes shining with joy. Though the bottle had no offensive capabilities, it was effective for defense, breaking spells, protection, and storing Tai True water. Ordinary vessels couldn't store the Tai True water she condensed. But with the Tai True water bottle, she could store and even refine it. This was also the reason she chose to first refine the Tai True water bottle, rather than a Tai Chi talisman. Lu Changxing looked at the elegant and extraordinarily beautiful Lu Miaoge in front of him, dressed in a white gown purer than snow, her demeanor otherworldly, with a transcendent aura, and he stroked his chin. Changxing, what is it? Lu Miaoge, seeing Lu Changxing suddenly scrutinize her like that, was somewhat puzzled. Sister Miaoge, stay here and don't move. Wait for me, Lu Changxing said, before stepping out of the Mount Summer space, leaving the perplexed Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao behind. Shortly after, Lu Changxing returned to Changxing Hall, holding a branch shining like gold and jade. The branch was decorated with vibrant, emerald green leaves, full of life. Under the astonished gaze of both women, Lu Changxing placed the branch he had picked from the Mount Summer Tree King into Lu Miaoge's Tai True water bottle and then nodded in satisfaction. Changxing, what are you doing? Lu Miaoge was clueless why Lu Changxing put a branch into her Tai True water bottle. Sister Miaoge, this is a branch from Mount Sumru. It has calming and spirit-cleansing effects, which will be beneficial for you to keep close for a long time, Lu Changxing said with a smile. Moreover, by storing Tai True water in the bottle, you can also nourish this branch, which will be helpful for you. He had suddenly decided to give Lu Miaoge a branch to add to her jade bottle simply because he saw his wife in a pure white robe, her aura sacred, carrying a clear jade bottle, which reminded him of a character from his previous life. He thought it would be nicer to add something to the bottle. As it turned out, the addition of the branch did indeed lend a divine touch to the jade bottle in Lu Miaoge's hand. If there was anything missing, it was indeed a cinnabar mole. If a cinnabar mole was added to Lu Miaoge's brow, combined with her holy disposition that seemed to embrace all things, it would be even more provocative. Okay, Lu Miaoge didn't overthink it, assuming it was a thoughtful gesture from Lu Changxing, and happily agreed with a tone of indulgence. However, Ling Zixiao detected a bit of oddity, though she didn't express it. After all, with the addition of the branch to the bottle, it indeed looked far more colorful and attractive. Before long, another month had passed. During this month, Lu Changxing's concubine became pregnant, bringing the total number of his children to 170. Chapter 754, The Effect of the Heavenly Longevity Technique, Heading to the White Jade Tower. Reflecting on his efficiency in childbearing over the past few years, Lu Changxing exhaled and prepared to visit the White Jade Tower. In the early years when his family was just established and Ling Zixiao was grievously injured, with Xiao Xia holding the fort at home, he really couldn't bring himself to visit the White Jade Tower. Moreover, the ordinary maids sold by the White Jade Tower all had lower-grade spiritual roots, which he no longer found impressive. To acquire maids with middle-grade or superior-grade spiritual roots, one had to either be a member or attend an auction. And now, it just so happened to be the day of the White Jade Tower's triennial auction. So, Lu Changxing was preparing to broaden his horizons. He wanted to see what the auction at the White Jade Tower was like and whether it could meet his needs. 3 days later, after informing Ling Zixiao, Lu Changxing secretly left by Lake Mountain and headed to the Nine Dragons Market. Considering his status as an elder of his family, Lu Changxing slightly disguised his facial features and identity. After arriving at the White Jade Tower, he learned that the auction list wouldn't arrive for another half a month. And the auction was not an open one but a secret bid. Because the reach of the White Jade Tower was too broad. This auction was not just in the Nine Dragons Square, but throughout the entire Jiang country cultivation realm. Therefore, the White Jade Tower couldn't host such a large auction and had to proceed through a secret bidding process. Moreover, most cultivators didn't wish to show their faces at such auctions. Lu Changxing didn't mind this and decided to stroll around the Nine Dragons Market. Bai Lake Mountain had several businesses in the Nine Dragons market, but the business here could only be considered average. It hadn't picked up. In the process, Lu Changxing saw the Jade Meal Pavilion, once belonging to his old friend Yu Maocheng. But because of his issues with the Yu family, the Jade Meal Pavilion had changed hands, and Yu Maocheng and his wife Yu Ningrong had left. Sigh, Lu Changxing let out a sigh. The couple had worked hard in the Nine Dragons market for many years, and their life was initially stable and good. But because of his incident with the Yu family, which led to their downfall, they chose to transfer the shop and leave the Nine Dragons market, living in anonymity. Yun Xianxian and Yu Ningrong used to correspond through letters, but after the incident with the Yu family colluding with the demon path, their relationship broke off, leaving no more letters exchanged. Half a month later, Lu Changxing arrived at the White Jade Tower and looked at the auction list before him. There were a total of 108 maids for auction, each with their appearance, situation information, and starting bid price. Number 1, 27 years old, 8th level energy refinement, 3rd grade spiritual root, starting bid, 10 superior grade spirit stones. Number 2, 32 years old, 9th level energy refinement, 3rd grade spiritual root, starting bid, 10 superior grade spirit stones. Number 3, 41 years old, 9th level energy refinement, 3rd grade spiritual root, starting bid, 10 superior grade spirit stones. Indeed worthy of the White Jade Tower, such moves to actually have 3 with superior grade spiritual roots, Lu Changxing commented as he roughly looked over the information on the auction list. Through their names, one could quickly check their appearance. He took a brief look at these 3 individuals, not to say they were national beauties, but they were certainly of high caliber. After all, most wouldn't be too ugly after entering cultivation. Furthermore, all were trained by the White Jade Tower. Even if originally of average looks, they would be taught beautifying and rejuvenating cultivation techniques. Although he was quite tempted by such prospects, he didn't really have the intention to bid. Too expensive. The starting bid alone was 10 superior grade spirit stones, which is to say 100,000 lower grade spirit stones. This price had already far exceeded his current spending capacity. Even though his business of selling symbols and refining elixirs was highly profitable, he still had limited financial resources when facing this kind of expenditure. And this was just the starting price. Compared to superior grade spiritual roots, the price of 4th grade spiritual roots dropped to a much more affordable level. The cheapest starting bid was only 30,000 spirit stones. The highest starting bid was just 50,000 spirit stones, which was half the price of 3rd grade spiritual roots. Then, for 5th grade spiritual roots, the price was halved again, with a starting bid between 10,000 and 20,000. The starting bids for 6th grade spiritual roots ranged from 5,000 to 10,000. Inside, there were many more maids with lower grade spiritual roots. Those who could enter the auction with lower grade spiritual roots were either top choices in looks and figure or had exceptional talents in some areas. Therefore, even the cheapest with 9th grade spiritual roots had a starting price of 1,000 spirit stones. After roughly reviewing, Lu Changxing inquired about the usual closing prices for these auctions in previous years. The administrator told him that for lower grade spiritual roots, the competition wasn't too fierce. Bids generally went 20% higher than the base price, and one was likely to win the bid. Competition for a few with superior grade spiritual roots was much fiercer. Because these served as the highlight of the White Jade Tower's auctions, many people competed for them. As to why the competition was so fierce, the administrator named Xia didn't delve into details. But Lu Changxing had a rough idea. Geniuses with superior grade spiritual roots were very useful. Besides the most common uses as furnaces or breeding, there were more brutal methods. Such as cultivating corpses, or after raising them, using some demon path methods to seize their spiritual roots, or even waiting until they established a foundation to snatch their Tao foundation. After all, with superior grade spiritual roots, as long as one is willing to invest time, with a bit of cultivation, establishing a foundation is highly likely. Sigh, save whoever I can, Lu Changxing sighed. Looking into the eyes of these women, which shone with no glimmer of hope, he knew what they had endured, most of them were ill-fated. Even after so many years in the cultivation world, he still hadn't changed his soft-hearted nature. Calculating the spirit stones he had available for discretionary spending, Lu Changxing finally set a budget of 50,000 spirit stones for himself. Because any more than that, and he would have to sell too many spirit stones and elixirs. Immediately, Lu Changxing placed bids on 3 5th-grade spiritual roots and 1 6th-grade spiritual root. All were relatively low-priced, but he marked them up by about 40%. To ensure a significant chance of acquiring them, he just managed to spend the 50,000 spirit stones. For the current auction, deposits had to be paid up front, and it would be a month before the secret bidding came to an end and notifications would be sent out. Hearing this, Lu Changxing didn't wait in the 9 Dragons market. After paying the deposits, he returned to Bai Lake Mountain. Because this year marked the Lu family's annual Grand Assembly. And this year, he planned to finalize the position of the family head at the Grand Assembly and start sending some of his children to manage the businesses outside the family. Chapter 755, Heaven Rank Demon Plant, Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. _1 by Lake Mountain. Lu Family Mansion, Council Hall. At present, the family has 316 members, 3 foundation establishment cultivators, 4 at the energy refinement late stage, 34 at the energy refinement middle stage, 16 at the energy refinement initial stage. Lu Changxing sat in the main seat, listening calmly to his wife Lu Miao's summary. Unconsciously, the number of members in his Lu family had already surpassed 300. Moreover, out of the 316 family members, there were 57 cultivators. This ratio was truly astonishing. The reason there were so many cultivators, particularly in the Qi refinement middle stage, was entirely because his 21 wives and concubines were all at this cultivation level. As for the children, 13 had currently broken through to the Qi refinement middle stage, and 16 were at the Qi refinement initial stage. This year's income totaled 31,143, expenditures totaled 35,665, with family stipends accounting for 70% of the expenses, Lu Miaoyan continued to report. Inside the hall, everyone felt somewhat heavy-hearted upon hearing that there was a deficit once again, without a profit. After all, for more than 4 years, Bai Lake Mountain had remained in a state of loss without reversing the situation to a profit. The main reason for the losses, the major expenses, was something all those present were well aware of. Lu Changxing himself felt rather unconcerned by this, thinking that to have such a result over 4 years wasn't too bad. After all, in his view, expenditures on starting a family and having children were essential, and in the long run, they were definitely profitable. However, these family expenses did not take into account the costs of the Divine Wood Great Formation, the Oceanic Formation, training Dao soldiers, and so on. Otherwise, the expenses would be even more exaggerated. There has been improvement in the income compared to last year, aiming to break even next year. Lu Changxing chuckled, tapped the table, and said, "Next, I have 2 matters to discuss. For the past few years, our family has been in a semi-secluded state which made many businesses inconvenient to manage. Therefore, starting from this year, Lu family disciples who reach the age of 18 and break through to the 4th level energy refinement can apply to go out and manage business ventures." Lu Changxing looked toward his wives and children and said aloud, "Apply to go out and manage business ventures?" Some of the Lu family disciples exchanged glances, their eyes shining with joy. Although no one complained during the 4 years of seclusion, some Lu family disciples still had some discontent in their hearts. After all, at their age, they were in the prime of their life, full of yearning for the outside world and naturally wanted to explore more. Not to mention traveling and gaining experience. Growing up in Qingzhou Mountain and Bai Lake Mountain with many rules and constraints at home, they would feel bored and long for the outside world. Moreover, many wives and children realized that this was another opportunity to perform well after hearing these words. As for going out for practice, one must reach the 6th level energy refinement to apply. Lu Changxing continued. Lu Chuanjin had previously expressed the desire to venture out for practice, and certainly, he wasn't the only one with such thoughts. Therefore, he also directly set the rule, fixing the cultivation level at the 6th level energy refinement. For the children in the family at present, this level was neither high nor low, generally around 25 years old, and they also had a certain level of experience. Finally, it is about the matter of the family head. Lu Changxing looked down at his children and said aloud. Currently, the family affairs were divided finely, with everyone having specific duties, and Lu Miaoyun generally coordinated the handling of trivial matters. Some major decisions, on the other hand, were made by him and Ling Zixiao. But now that the family had decided to open the mountain gate, whether it was dealing with family trifles or business, or interacting with other families, there needed to be one person, that is, the patriarch of the Lu family. The family head. Upon hearing these words, many concubines and children looked surprised and exchanged glances, turning their eyes to Lu Pingan, Lu Chuanjun, and Lu Yun. Although the Lu family did not emphasize too much the difference between legitimate and illegitimate children, still, in the eyes of many concubines and children, there was a distinction. After all, although Lu Changxing treated all his children equally in terms of welfare and treatment, in everyday life, he still had obvious favorites. Lu Pingan, Lu Chuanjun, and Lu Yun were born to his first wife, and being relatively older, they were favored by Lu Changxing, so most people guessed that the choice of family head would be from among them. Now, our Lu family's first family head will be Lu Yun. Lu Changxing did not hold a vote but directly looked at his son Lu Yun and spoke. The choice of Lu Yun was partly because his sons Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjun had no intention of taking on the role of family head. Another reason was capability. Lu Yun, despite lacking decisiveness and boldness, performed well under the guidance of Lu Miaoyun. As family head, with the help of his mother Lu Miaoyun in the early stages, he would at least not create any problems. Besides, this son did have his strong points. At least diligent and obedient, he was a role model in terms of marrying and having children. He already had a wife, 3 concubines, and 3 children to his name. Although he could not compare with his own father. But amongst his children with spiritual roots, he was doing quite well. Thank you, father. Your son will definitely not fail your expectations, nor those of everyone. Upon hearing this, Lu Yun took a deep breath and got up, bowing with excitement and nervousness. Although the role of family head in a cultivation family differed from that in the secular world. Becoming family head was equivalent to almost giving up on the path to immortality, as much time had to be spent on daily trivial matters, with little hope of reaching foundation establishment. However, the status and power of the family head were undeniable. Congratulations, Brother Yun. Congratulations, Yun Ji. Greetings to the family head. Some immediately congratulated Lu Yun. Perform well. The position of the family head is a 5-year term, serving a maximum of 4 terms. I will judge based on the performance of each term, rewarding good service abundantly and allowing continuation in the position. If not done well, then the person will be replaced. Understand? Chapter 756, Heaven Rank Demon Plant, Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. Lu Changxing spoke out. He chose Lu Yun to be the family head not only because of Lu Miaoyun's role but also due to the limited selection of sons and daughters currently available in the family. If Lu Yun truly lacked the capacity and was unsuitable, he would replace him all the same, picking someone else from among the children. After all, in his eyes, there really was no significant distinction between legitimacy and illegitimacy when it came to the position of family head. Capability was the main criterion. Yes, father. Lu Yun took a deep breath and nodded in agreement. He had long been aware of these matters, having been forewarned by his mother, Lu Miaoyun, and was mentally prepared. This family clan meeting is now concluded. If you have any other matters, you can come directly to me, Lu Changxing announced, looking at his wives and children. Yes, husband, father. Everyone in the hall stood up and respectfully replied. Immediately after, Lu Changxing left the hall with a few of his wives. With the family clan meeting over, Bai Lake Mountain was bustling with activity. During this time, Lu Changxing also spent time with his wives and children, discussing arrangements for sending out the family youths. After all, when sending out the children, priority was given to picking marketplaces like Red Leaf Valley Market and Nine Dragons Market, which were close to by Lake Mountain. Besides that, he had Hong Lian craft identity tokens for the family. This allowed all Lu family disciples to sense each other's presence through the jade tokens, communicate, call for help, verify identities, and so on when they were outside. Moreover, during this period, he spent even more time nurturing the third-rank treasure talismans prepared for his children. Young master, how do you like this design? That day, Su Rian handed Lu Changxing the crafted identity token. The token was roughly the width of 3 fingers, made like gleaming gold and jade, with hints of emerald green at the edges. One side bore a depiction of mountain and sea scenery, while on the other side, there was a Lu character, extravagant yet with a touch of simplicity. This token could sense the presence of others within 100 miles and enable simple communication over 1,000 miles. If Lu Changxing wished, he could use the infinite pursuit technique learned from Hong Lian to locate the position of the tokens. Not bad. Just make a distinguishing mark on each token for simple identification, Lu Changxing said after examining it for a moment, instructing Hong Lian to make a simple mark on the side with the Lu character and deciding thus. 13 youths of the family met the qualifications to venture out, but currently, only 6 had applied to do so, so he wasn't in a hurry about crafting the tokens. Given Hong Lian's pace of crafting one every 3 to 5 days, that was more than enough. Once he had roughly arranged and dealt with family matters, Lu Changxing remembered that the auction at White Jade Tower was nearly concluded. He then took a trip outside, heading for the White Jade Tower in Nine Dragons Market. Young Master Yi, please come inside. The 4 maids you put up for auction at our White Jade Tower, except for number 66 which failed to sell, numbers 69, 77, and 98 were all successfully auctioned. Do you confirm this, young Master Yi? The manager of White Jade Tower eagerly said upon seeing Lu Changxing. In Nine Dragons Market, anyone who could spend nearly 50,000 spirit stones on maids was undoubtedly a major client, so he was treated with great enthusiasm. Number 66 failed, At this, Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow but didn't seem overly concerned. He promptly paid the balance for the remaining 3 maids. Since the 3 maids were to be transported from other locations by White Jade Tower, that would require more than a month. Lu Changxing made the necessary arrangements and left, indicating that he would come to pick them up when the time came and there was no need for them to be delivered to his home. In the blink of an eye, over a month passed. These are the life-saving talismans I've crafted for you. Dab a drop of blood from your forehead and essence blood on it. If you encounter a life-threatening crisis, you can activate the talisman to escape, Lu Changxing said with a stern expression, looking at his children arrayed before him. Remember, the matter of this talisman must not be disclosed to anyone else, understand? The talisman he referred to was known as a substitute talisman, ranked as a lower 3rd rank item. Its effect was somewhat similar to his life-substituting talisman. It was connected to one's essence, blood and soul, forming a substitute puppet to take one's place in danger, and then transporting the user 1,000 miles away. However, its effectiveness was far inferior to the life-substituting talisman, withstanding only 1 blow from core formation at most. And unlike the life-substituting talisman, it could not guard against certain inescapable and deadly tactics. Nevertheless, it was more than enough for these children who were going to the marketplaces to handle business. Unless they ran into some formidable robber cultivators, it was unlikely they would need to use these talismans. Yes, father. They were seeing their father's stern demeanor for the first time. Realizing the gravity of the situation, they didn't dare to take it lightly and swore oaths of the heart demon. Later, holding the talismans traced with mysterious toad script that resembled purple dragon scales in their hands, they each looked overjoyed. After all, they all knew that their father was a top-level talisman master with a renowned reputation. Such life-saving talismans were certainly extraordinary. Having seen his children use the substitute talismans, Lu Changxing left them after giving a few instructions. The east broke with dawn, and the morning light was faint. At the top of Baiyun Peak, the tallest point of Bai Lake Mountain, stood an ancient tree tens of feet high, made entirely of gold and jade, its brilliant luminance flowing. This was a forbidden area of Bai Lake Mountain, where the ancestral lady cultivated, offering an easy view of the entire landscape of Bai Lake Mountain. At this moment, atop the ancient tree, a man and a woman were engaged in pleasurable yet shameful acts. Lu Changxing had Su Ruian brace herself against a branch, while he supported her from behind with his strong and supple reach. Su Ruian, in a red gauzy robe, had her even and beautiful legs raised like jade columns. Forced on her tiptoes, her heels lifted intermittently, turning her tender white jade toes faintly pink. "Miss Su, do you like it this way?" Lu Changxing asked teasingly. Chapter 757, Heaven Rank Demon Plant, Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. After spending so much time together, he naturally couldn't resist and plucked Su Ruian, this fruit. Perhaps it was his daily training, or the brainwashing by Ling Zixiao, that Su Ruian gradually resigned herself to her fate and offered herself willingly during one of their tender moments after a night of drinking with Ling Zixiao. Faced with such a situation, Lu Changxing certainly didn't pretend to be an upright gentleman. In the days that followed, Su Ruian essentially became like a chambermaid for Ling Zixiao, helping out and making Lu Changxing comfortable and carefree. And during ordinary days, some of the pastimes that Lu Changxing couldn't enjoy with his wife, he could now have Su Ruian comply with. Woo woo woo, like, Su Ruian, forced to grasp the branches of Mount Sumru, kept her beautiful eyes tightly shut, her fiery red hair dancing wildly, uttering stuttering sounds from her mouth. From this height, they could still see the fishermen on Bai Shui Lake and some loose cultivator apprentices practicing on Lake Heart Island. "Do you think they can see us? Or are they wondering what we're doing here?" Lu Changxing, looking out over the vast expanse of Bai Shui Lake, his hand roaming on smooth skin, spoke softly. Although Su Ruian knew that with the inverted five elements formation in place, no one could see them, her starry eyes fluttering open and closed, looking down at the scene below, she still felt her whole body tense up, a thrilling sensation rising from deep within her. Eventually, under a crisp sound, Su Ruian whimpered, moans bursting forth, her body going limp with a cry, hands hanging powerlessly. Seeing this, Lu Changxing thought that although Su Ruian had reached the 9th level of energy refinement, her body was still somewhat frail. After slapping her jade buttocks, he embraced her delicate body and switched positions to continue. Just then, a system notification sound echoed. "Congratulations to the host, 30 offspring have completed the process of drawing qi into their bodies and stepping onto the path of immortality, receiving the bloodline effect. A 5% increase in the likelihood of offspring having a spiritual root and a chance for a lucky draw. 30 already." When Lu Changxing heard the system notification, he paused for a moment. He had suspected as much when there was no notification at 25. Pleased with the system granting child money, Lu Changxing's mood elevated. He firmly grasped Su Ruian's graceful waist, driving deep with fervor, venting his pleasure. The beautiful woman shivered, trembling, her defenses scattered in disarray, a gushing spring of surrender. It wasn't until the sun was high in the sky that Lu Changxing let Su Ruian go to rest, and he himself went to the talisman room to start the lucky draw. System, lucky draw. Lu Changxing mentally called out. Instantly, a pale red prize will emerged bathed in golden light, beginning to spin for the draw, eventually coming to a stop on the pet section. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a spiritual pet, Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. Reward has been delivered to the system space. Host can check at any time. An image of a sinister, black flower with a blood-red aura emerged from the prize wheel, accompanied by a system notification sound. Abyssal Ghoul Blossom, a demonic plant? Lu Changxing's eyes lit up upon seeing this reward. Although he wasn't much interested in pets, the exception was definitely plant-based spiritual pets. Indeed, through the Mount Sumru Tree King, he knew that this kind of demonic plant could also be used to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique. Right away, Lu Changxing looked into the system space. Demon Beast, Abyssal Ghoul Blossom, rank, Heaven rank upper grade, description. Evolved from the soul of a 5th-rank great demon from the netherworlds, born from the nourishment of countless beings' fresh blood, feeds on flesh, souls, and possesses a prison within its belly, capable of imprisoning beings, currently has the strength of second rank, heaven rank upper grade. And it has second rank strength. Seeing the rank and description of the abyssal ghoul blossom before him, Lu Changxing couldn't hide his elation. Both the rank and the strength made him feel that the abyssal ghoul blossom was quite a catch. If there were any problem, it would be that it looked somewhat sinister. Birthed by the nourishment of living blood, it feeds on flesh and souls. Doesn't this mean that this demonic flower doesn't require a spirit vein spiritual energy and would do just fine with enough flesh and blood? If that's the case, planting this abyssal ghoul blossom wouldn't add too much pressure to the current situation of Bai Lake Mountain. I just don't know if this demonic flower can be used to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique. Lu Changxing saw the demonic plant in the system space and murmured to himself. He planned to give this demonic plant to Lu Miaohuan or Chu Xinjin to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique. Through Lu Miaohuan's cultivation of the heaven and earth longevity technique, he knew that after refining a heavenly spirit plant into one's life-bound spiritual root, other than a certain degree of influence on the plant's growth, there would not be any other significant problems. And as a demonic plant with a heavenly grade bloodline, the abyssal ghoul blossom would certainly meet the requirements for cultivating the heaven and earth longevity technique. If used for cultivation, the effects might be even better than the luminous treasure tree. However, this abyssal ghoul blossom might be more suitable for Huanhuan. Lu Changxing stroked his chin. Both the appearance and the description of this abyssal ghoul blossom resembled a demon. Given Chu Zenshin's disposition, she would probably be frightened just by looking at it, let alone dare to feed it with flesh and blood. Although Lu Miaohuan might not necessarily like it either, it would clearly be much better compared to Chu Xinjin, and she probably wouldn't mind that aspect too much. If I could let Mount Sumeru induce the birth of a companion spirit plant, then both Huanhuan and Zenshin's plants would be taken care of. Lu Changxing let out a long sigh. He planned to pick a time to plant this abyssal ghoul blossom, and let Lu Miaohuan and Chu Xinjin have a look. Half a month later, Lu Changxing arrived at the Nine Dragons marketplace. About 3 months had passed, and his 3 maids had already been delivered. Lu Changxing looked at the 3 maids in front of him. Similar to the original Xiao Yuyao and Xiao Yueru, the 3 of them had fine appearances and figures, but their eyes were dull, filled with numbness. The only difference was that among these 3, 2 of the women had 5th grade spiritual roots, and 1 had a 6th grade spiritual root. 5th grade spiritual root, Lu Changxing felt quite emotional in his heart. He still remembered his first visit to White Jade Tower, where he could only afford a maid with a 9th grade spiritual root. At that time, middle grade spiritual roots seemed unattainably high for him. But after years of hard work and struggle, women with middle grade spiritual roots became just a substantial expenditure for him. There were even female cultivators with middle grade spiritual roots who took the initiative to come to his door and offer themselves. Wealth, companions, law, and land, no wonder wealth comes first. TSK, money really can make a ghost push a millstone. After a slight moment of emotion, Lu Changxing expressed no issues and took the 3 back to Bai Lake Mountain. During this time, the steward Xia also upgraded his membership for Lu Changxing. He indicated that with a higher membership level, the future auction would grant access to maids in greater quantities and of better quality. This surprised Lu Changxing, as he hadn't expected the auctions to have different levels. He then asked Steward Xia about the prices fetched by the recent top-grade spiritual roots. The other party didn't hide anything, indicating that number 1 fetched a price of 150,000, while number 2 fetched 160,000 spirit stones, astonishing Lu Changxing. It seemed there were more wealthy people than he imagined, but with such financial power, they were definitely not mere foundation establishment cultivators, but surely nascent soul immortals. Chapter 758, Top-Grade Spiritual Root, Spiritual Origin Pearl. _1 time flew by, and 3 months had passed. In these 3 months, Lu Changxing did take care of the 3 new maids he had bought, but only one of them became pregnant. It wasn't that there was a problem, but rather that he had been busy. Moreover, with so many concubines already at home, Lu Changxing was not in a rush for them to conceive immediately. One day, Lu Changxing felt a surge of mana abruptly enter his body. He knew that one of his children had advanced in their cultivation realm. Nowadays, as his children gradually began their cultivation, almost every few months or half a year, he could sense this enhancement. But whether it was the Qi refinement cultivation level or the martial realm, in terms of adding to his current strength, it was far too insignificant. Unless it was a quantitative change, otherwise, only when his children broke through foundation establishment would he experience a significant improvement, enabling him to directly break through his own realm. Father, 3 days later, his son Lu Chuanjun saw Lu Changxing and immediately reported that he had broken through to the 6th level of Qi refinement. Qi refinement 6th level. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing knew that Lu Chuanjun was hinting at wanting to go out for an experience. Although for such matters, one could directly report to Lu Yun and Lu Miaoyun. But it was clear he couldn't get past his mother Chu Jinjin, thus he came to have his father speak on his behalf. Sigh, go ahead then. Lu Changxing also felt somewhat troubled. Once he agreed to his son's request, he naturally would not go back on his word. Moreover, in his heart, he too wished for his children to travel more. In the cultivation world, except for those with exceptional talents, without experiencing storms, even with a foundation establishment elixir, foundation establishment would not be easy to achieve. The two of them went to Chu Zenshin's courtyard. Adventuring, how dangerous it is outside. Chu Zenshin's smile turned into concern upon hearing the reason for their visit. She looked at Lu Chuanjun and fretted, Chuanjun, if you want to go out, you could go to Red Leaf Valley Market, your mother isn't stopping you, but the outside world is so chaotic, so dangerous. Husband, Chu Jinjin then looked at Lu Changxing, knowing he must have come to advocate on their son's behalf. After all, she had approached Lu Changxing several times about Lu Quanzhen's situation, but it was clear that as a father, he was partial to his son. Jinjin, I understand what you're thinking, you want Chuanjun to be safe and sound. Lu Changxing took his wife's wrist and sat down beside her, saying, I also wish for them all to be safe, but Chuanjun is no longer young. He has his own convictions and will be unhappy staying at home all the time. Besides, an eaglet must fly on its own eventually. It can only grow after experiencing storms and waves. Although with me as a father, Chuanjun wouldn't need to go through these things, it's a good thing that he wants to venture out, Lu Changxing slowly explained to his wife. Chu Jinjin never made unreasonable fusses about such matters, but would just show a wronged expression and feel sad alone. And he, who always found it hard to resist her soft approach, feared his wife's aggrieved appearance. Lu Chuanjun was much the same. He might revere his father, but he respected his mother and feared her sadness, her aggrieved look upon him. Moreover, if Chuanjun goes out, I, as a father, am prepared. This talisman, named Substitute Talisman, can save one's life from nascent soul immortals and those below them using a talisman. There's also this puppet. You've seen it before, it's a second-rank puppet that can hold up against a foundation establishment cultivator for several exchanges. With these, there won't be much danger for Chuanjun while traveling. As Lu Changxing spoke, he produced a talisman that resembled a purple dragon scale and a beast-shaped puppet that was dark gold in color, emitting a cold gleam. Originally, he hadn't planned on giving him a second-rank puppet. But seeing Chu Jinjin like this, he decided to offer more. A second-rank puppet. Lu Chuanjun, who had been bowing his head, was taken aback upon hearing his father's words and seeing the second-rank puppet before him. A substitute talisman that could save one's life from nascent soul immortals and those below. That, he could barely comprehend. After all, his father was a top-level talisman master. But to also give him a second-rank puppet. Was his father really that generous and wealthy? He knew that his father was doing this for his mother's sake, to allay her worries, and he felt a surge of emotion. He thought about just going through the motions and returning the puppet to his father later. After all, such a puppet was worth about 10 or 20,000 spirit stones. Even for his father, that was probably not a small amount. Sigh, Chu Jinjin pursed her lips and let out a deep sigh. She knew that since Lu Changxing had said so much, he was basically agreeing to let Lu Chuanjun go out. Under such circumstances, it would not be appropriate for her to say more. And she had never been one to contradict Lu Changsheng's words. Chuanjun, be careful out there on your own. Don't go off for years, remember to come back every year, and make sure to keep the talisman and puppet your father gave you safe. Don't go seeking danger just because you have them. Chu Zhenjun, saddened and reluctant, pulled her son aside, softly speaking with teary eyes. A mother's worry spans 1,000 li when her child travels afar. Especially in the cultivation world, which had always seemed chaotic and dangerous to Chu Zhenjun, she was very concerned about her son going out alone. Mother, rest assured, your child understands. Lu Chuanjun, with a handsome and earnest face, affirmed. He then smeared his brow's blood and vital blood on the substitute talisman. The talisman transformed into a beam of spiritual light, entering the center of his forehead. Chu Zhenjun also felt somewhat relieved at this sight. She might not know much, but she was aware that her husband was very capable and would not shortchange their child. After letting Lu Chuanjun accept the second-rank puppet, Lu Changxing chatted with his wife and son for a while and then departed. However, as he left the courtyard, Lu Chuanjun sent a message saying he did not need the second-rank puppet and there was no need for such an expense on his father's part. Keep it, it's embedded with 10 middle-grade spirit stones. It can last up against an early foundation establishment for nearly 10 exchanges, so when you encounter one, do not clash head-on. Chapter 759, Top-Grade Spiritual Root, Spiritual Origin Pearl. Lu Changxing waved his hand and said to his son, not paying much attention to the puppet. He had previously created 3 second-rank puppets. One for Ling Zixiao, one for Lu Miaoyun, and one for Lu Miaoge. A long time ago, he also gave one to Lu Miaohuan. But because of Chu Zhenjun's personality, who usually disliked going out and was not good at fighting, he hadn't given one to her. Now this puppet could be considered Chu Zhenjun's share. My child thanks you, father. Lu Chuanjun took a deep breath and bowed his thanks. He felt that the riches of his family's father might surpass what he and his siblings could imagine. 2 months later. Inside the Changxing Hall. Lu Changxing was in the middle of refining a Tai Chi talisman. Suddenly, a mysterious fluctuation came through. Lu Changxing was naturally familiar with this fluctuation. With his spiritual root promoted to 2nd grade, the improvement of his wife's spiritual root's quality, favorable breeding, as well as the system's bloodline enhancement, his previous 6 children, 4 of whom had spiritual roots, and 2 had 5th grade spiritual roots, and 2 had 6th grade spiritual roots. However, this child's spiritual root fluctuation was much stronger than that of the other 4 children. This is a superior spiritual root. A 3rd grade spiritual root. Lu Changsheng's eyes revealed a look of joy. Except for his daughter Nangong Yaoyao, who he had not yet met, there wasn't a superior spiritual root in his family. In the cultivation world, a superior spiritual root could increase the successful breakthrough rate of foundation establishment by 30 to 50%. If there was a foundation establishment elixir or foundation establishment spirit object, one would surely be able to break through foundation establishment, with hopes for core formation in the future. System. Lu Changxing mentally called, opening his system panel. Name, Lu Changxing. Status, Master of By Lake Mountain. Cultivation level, 5th level of foundation establishment. Lifespan, 45/286. Talents, 2nd grade spiritual root, medium level Gingjin body constitution, spiritual body, high level blood talisman spiritual body, top level flawless heavenly fragrance body, spiritual body, cultivation techniques, 100 refinements treasure body art, 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture, yin-yang harmony technique, 99 mystical talisman scripture, immortal beauty technique, Tai Xing technique, 12 divine demons technique, spells, sword shadow dividing light technique, 7 luminaries sword chi, soul scattering needle, items, seed of law, soul fusion resurrection elixir, endless guileful head, Lu family genealogy, spirit pill, spiritual eye spring, profound origin bead, book of malevolent curses and fates, luminous treasure tree, golden armor bean mother, life substituting talisman, coagulation crystal elixir, magical treasures, 7 luminaries heart lamp, 100 steeds towering pagoda lock, skills, alchemy, 2nd rank, talisman making, 3rd rank, puppet, 2nd rank, spirit slaughterer, 2nd rank, wine brewing, 2nd rank, spiritual pets, abyssal ghoul blossom, Mount Summer tree king, 9 netherhound, 6-winged golden silkworm, cold blue dark turtle, peach blossom goo, bloodline effect, offspring spiritual root probability plus 30%, breeding offspring plus 20%. Family, 321. Lu Changxing looked at the family section and found the child that had just been born. Immediately, an information panel appeared. Name, unnamed, lifespan, 1/80th, talents, 3rd grade spiritual root, cultivation level, none, ability, alchemy, 39%, indeed a 3rd grade spiritual root, and already having a 39% talent in alchemy just after birth, with proper nurturing, becoming a 2nd rank alchemist should not be a problem. Lu Changxing looked at the panel, his eyes full of joy. Immediately, he set aside the half-finished Tai Chi talisman in his hands and went to the Lu family mansion. He promptly learned that Xia Zizhu had given birth to their child. No wonder, I didn't expect it to be a 3rd grade spiritual root. Lu Changxing muttered to himself. Xia Zizhu had given birth to 3 children for him. The previous 2 children, his daughter Lu Xingyue, had a 6th grade spiritual root, and his son Lu Xingyang, a 5th grade spiritual root. Now the 3rd child had a direct 3rd grade spiritual root. Greetings, Master. Upon arriving at Xia Zizhu's courtyard, the servants immediately greeted him respectfully. Emicham, I heard Zizhu has given birth? Lu Changxing nodded and went straight to the backyard's annex, where he saw Xia Zizhu holding the baby. Husband, Xia Zizhu showed a look of joy on her pale face upon seeing Lu Changxing. Nowadays, Lu Changxing mostly spent his time cultivating in Changxing Hall. So, the birth of a child in the family usually depended on whether he remembered it or not. Although it was the same whether Lu Changxing attended or not, they all still hoped that Lu Changxing would come and see them. Zizhu, you've worked hard. Lu Changxing, feeling somewhat embarrassed, sat beside the bed and spoke softly. With more and more children, and tasks that could easily take at least 10 days to half a month, his attention to the birth of his children had gradually decreased. Husband, it was not hard at all. Xia Zizhu spoke softly, showing her newborn baby to Lu Changxing. He, this child, let's name him Xingqian. Lu Changxing took the child, looked at his clear, distinctly black and white eyes, and said with a chuckle. 3rd grade spiritual root, this son will also be one of the pillars of the Lu family. Xingqian, Lu Xingqian. Xia Zizhu, hearing this, showed a gentle smile and called out to the baby. Zizhu, you rest well. After chatting with Xia Zizhu for a while, Lu Changxing spoke warmly. Even though she had the 7th level energy refinement cultivation, because of her spirit nurturing physique, giving birth always depleted her vital energy. She needed to rest much longer than the average cultivator. After reassuring Xia Zizhu, Lu Changxing joined his wives and concubines in the mansion for a casual chat, asking about the family's well-being. Daddy, are you busy? Just then, his daughter Lu Wangshu ran over, calling out to Lu Changxing with a cheerful face. What's the matter? Lu Changxing tousled his daughter's hair bun and asked with a smile. His daughter, Lu Wangshu, was now 9 years old, and he planned to awaken her blood talisman spiritual body within the next year. Daddy, can you make me some candy beans to eat? Lu Wangshu pulled out an empty little bottle, tipped it over on the ground a couple of times, and spoke in a soft, adorable voice. Chapter 760, Top Grade Spiritual Root, Spiritual Origin Pearl. Don't we have candy beans at home? Lu Changxing said with a warm smile. To lay a foundation for the child, the family always had a stock of elixir medicines for strengthening the body and nourishing the origin. In these days, Hong Lian also often used Su Ruyan to make elixir medicines for the family, so Lu Changxing seldom made these ordinary elixirs himself. But the candy beans you make are sweeter, Lu Wangshu said cutely, holding her cheeks in her hands. What, did I put too much salt in the sugar pills? Lu Changsheng pretended not to hear clearly. Daddy. Lu Wangshu clung to Lu Changsheng's wrist and coaxed, if you don't make me sugar pills, then you have to go fishing with me. Alright, I'll go with you in a bit. Lu Changsheng doted on her and rubbed his daughter's head, knowing she just wanted him to spend time with her. The wives and concubines standing nearby looked at this scene with envy in their eyes when they saw Lu Wangshu. Now, if one were to say who was the most beloved by Lu Changsheng in the family, it would be Lu Wangshu. Half a year later. Red Leaf Valley Market. Fellow G, this is the spirit talisman you wanted, take a look. Lu Changsheng, looking at the heroic middle-aged man before him, took out 10 supreme second-tier spirit talismans and spoke. Second-tier supreme teleportation talisman, second-tier supreme prohibition-breaking talisman. The heroic man examined the talismans, his face immediately revealing joy. He then cupped his fist and said, I have long heard of Master Lu's great renown, and seeing you today, you truly live up to your reputation. This is the spiritual origin pearl, Master Lu. You only need to give me 10,000 spirit stones, and this spiritual origin pearl is yours. He took out a fist-sized spirit pearl that radiated 5 colors of light from his storage bag. As the spirit pearl appeared, the density of the surrounding nature's spiritual energy started to slowly increase. Good, here are 10,000 spirit stones, fellow G can take a look. Lu Changsheng said joyfully, taking out a prepared storage bag. Good, the transaction is complete, thank you, Master Lu. The heroic man took the storage bag, swept it with his divine sense, handed the spiritual origin pearl to Lu Changsheng, and then cupped his fist before departing. Take care. Lu Changsheng saw the man out, exhaled lightly, and looked at the spiritual origin pearl in his hand with delight. With this spiritual origin pearl, our family's spirit vein should be able to be greatly enhanced. Since establishing by Lake Mountain, he had Lu Miaoyan continuously seek out spiritual origin pearls from the outside. But spiritual origin pearls were rare, and there had been no activity for many years. 3 months ago, the Ji-surnamed man had approached the Lu family, saying he had a spiritual origin pearl. But he was unwilling to trade with spirit stones and wanted Lu Changsheng to draw 10 second-tier supreme talismans, plus 10,000 spirit stones. Facing such a request, Lu Changsheng naturally agreed, and thus the transaction had occurred. However, this fellow G doesn't seem like a very good person, I'm afraid. Lu Changsheng thought about the effects of these talismans and inwardly speculated. The 10 talismans were suitable for exploring cave dwellings and secret realms, but equally, they were also suitable for murder and plunder. But he did not pay it any mind, and after checking that there were no issues with the spiritual origin pearl, he placed it into his storage bag. Changsheng, the family is arranging for Muping to undergo foundation establishment. But both Qingzhou Mountain and Red Leaf Valley Market would draw too much attention and be noticed, so I'm planning to send Muping to either the Qingyan Market or the Immortal City to establish her foundation. That day, Lu Yuanzhong came to Red Leaf Valley Market and spoke to Lu Changsheng. Let's go with the Qingyan Market. I know the fairy Shiyu from the Qingyan sect, I can rent a decent cave dwelling for her through her in Qingyan Market. And this time, I'll take Muping over myself. It's better for uncle to hold the fort at home. Upon hearing this, Lu Changsheng pondered for a moment before speaking. There's a saying, if you're going to do a good deed, do it well. If you're going to send Buddha, send him all the way to the west. Letting Lu Yuanzhong take Lu Muping out for foundation establishment may expose them to danger along the way. After all, Lu Muping's foundation establishment concerns not just Qingzhou Mountain but also Lu Miaoga. He didn't want any accidents to happen at this stage. Now that Bai Lake Mountain has Ling Zixiao and Mount Sumeru as guardians, he felt free to go out himself. So, he thought, why not make the trip himself? That way there shouldn't be any problems. Since that's the case, Changsheng, I'll have to trouble you with this matter. When Lu Yuanzhong heard this, joy immediately spread across his face. Having a superb cave dwelling can indeed help with breaking through to foundation establishment. And with Lu Changsheng personally accompanying him, there was no fear of any mishaps on the road. Uncle, you're being too polite. Have Mu Ping come to Bai Lake Mountain to find me in a month, Lu Changxing said with a smile. Afterward, he informed Lu Miaoge about it and then returned to Bai Lake Mountain to give the spiritual origin pearl to Ling Zixiao. He asked her to use the pearl to set up an array to upgrade the spirit vein on Baiyun Peak. The spirit vein of Baiyun Peak was a middle grade of the second rank, and it was just one step away from advancing to the upper grade of the second rank. With just 2 or 3 spiritual origin pearls, the spirit vein could be promoted. Once he finished his tasks, he also wrote to Xiao Xia, telling her about the foundation establishment in Qinyan Market. Half a month later. Brother, a girl with delicate and pure features, a graceful and captivating figure, clad in a white dress and of peerless elegance, called out to Lu Changxing upon seeing him. Her voice was sweet and sticky, like the sound of heaven, and her beautiful eyes brimmed with deep joy and affection. Little Linger. Seeing the joyous girl, Lu Changxing naturally held her in his embrace. He twirled her around like comforting a child and kissed her pure radiant forehead. Has my little Linger broken through to the 9th level of qi refinement? The next moment, Lu Changxing sensed the change in Bai Ling's cultivation level. He saw that her cultivation realm had advanced from the 8th level to the 9th level of qi refinement. Although the Black Dragon Codex hadn't caused the kind of scenario Ling Zixiao mentioned, allowing her bloodline to exhibit any significant manifestation, the cultivation technique still suited her very well, and her speed of cultivation had increased. It took only 3 years to go from the 8th level to the 9th level of qi refinement. He estimated that in another 2 to 3 years, she would be ready to attempt foundation establishment. Bai Ling nestled against Lu Changxing's strong chest, lifting her charming forehead lightly. Her peach blossom-like beautiful dreamy eyes were moist and shiny, seductive and bewitching, her face expectant, waiting for Lu Changxing to praise her. Little Linger is really amazing. Lu Changxing naturally knew what the girl was thinking. He cupped her exquisite cheek, drew his face close, and captured her cool, soft lips, a cold and snowy fragrance overflowing between his teeth, sweet and soft. After a moment, Bai Ling's cheeks flushed with a radiant red, her eyes flirty as silk, as if ready to drip water, her breath disheveled, and her body a bundle of softness. Seeing this, Lu Changxing chuckled and carried the delicate body of the little girl back to the room. Although Bai Ling's bloodline made it extremely difficult for her to conceive, and now she was also cultivating the Black Dragon Codex, Lu Changxing was confident in himself, believing that he bore great fertility. He simply needed to put in more effort, and success was certain. Moreover, among his many wives and concubines, Bai Ling really was a rarity, one he greatly cherished. Chapter 761, A Trip to Qinyan Marketplace, Ferry of the Zither. _1 an hour and a half later. Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Family Mansion. Zixiao, in these days, you have been the one who's worked hard taking care of home. Lu Changxing said to Ling Zixiao. His trip to Qinyan Market was initially just to escort someone there and then return. But after writing to Xiao Xia, he learned that right at that time the Qinyan Market was holding an auction that took place once every 10 years, and she was planning to go as well. So, he delayed his departure by a month, intending to participate in this auction to see if there might be some gains. Incidentally, he planned to invite Xiao Xia to Bai Lake Mountain. After all, he felt it was necessary to involve Xiao Xia, the mother, in matters such as their daughter awakening to the blood talisman's spiritual body. Rest assured, my husband, I am taking care of our home. Ling Zixiao, dressed in a blue gown with an elegant face and a gentle voice, said. Her meridians and dantian had largely recovered by now, enabling her to barely use her foundation establishment mana. And with the Mount Sumra Tree King guarding the home, they need not fear even core formation invaders. Lu Changxing nodded in response. With Ling Zixiao at home, he felt quite reassured. He then arrived at the Lu family mansion. Greetings, uncle. Inside the hall, a man who appeared to be in his 30s, with a handsome face, dressed in green brocade clothes and sharp eyes, bowed respectfully to Lu Changxing. He was Lu Muping, the foundation establishment seed of the Lu family's current generation. Now that you're ready, let's set off. Lu Changxing nodded slightly to Lu Muping in front of him. Although he had spent many years in Qingzhou Mountain, he wasn't very familiar with Lu Muping. Theirs was a nodding acquaintance. Yes, uncle. Although their ages were not far apart, Lu Muping showed great respect to Lu Changxing. After all, as Lord of Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Changxing enjoyed a fierce reputation in the Qingyun region, especially in the surrounding areas. This reputation had been forged through 2 great battles fought by Lu Changxing himself. Moreover, he knew that his foundation establishment elixir, too, came from Lu Changxing, so he felt awed and grateful to him. Soon, Lu Changxing and Lu Muping, disguising their appearance and whereabouts, left Bai Lake Mountain for Qingyun Market. This trip was meant to keep their foundation establishment attempt at Qingyun Market a secret from others, so as not to let anyone know that someone from Qingzhou Mountain was attempting to establish their foundation. 2.5 years earlier, the incident where Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge suppressed the robber cultivator in Red Leaf Valley Market had boosted their fame. But it also made many neighboring families and powers wary of them, unwilling to see them continue to rise and grow stronger. After all, nobody wanted an additional top-tier family power in the surrounding region, a cultivation family. 20 days later, a spirit boat stopped outside Qingyun Market. 2 middle-aged men in black robes stepped off the boat. They were none other than Lu Changxing and Lu Muping, who had come to Qingyun Market for foundation establishment. Qingyun Market, Lu Muping looked at the premier marketplace of the Qingyun region before him. Although he had many years of experience traveling abroad, he had never been to this Qingyun Market. Let's go in. Lu Changxing, who had been there twice, seemed familiar with the route. He led Lu Muping to queue up for registration and enter the market. Then he took out a yin-yang sensing talisman and sent a message to Xiao Xie. About half an hour later, a tall figure in white clothes and a white skirt, a fairy with a beautiful face and a graceful demeanor that seemed like the bright moon in the sky, approached. Shiyu. Lu Changxing looked at the figure and sent a message with his voice. Changxing. Xiao Xie's cool and majestic eyes immediately softened. The young one greets Fairy Xiao. Upon seeing Xiao Xie, Lu Muping found it hard to hide his amazement. But he dared not look for too long for fear of defiling the fairy before him and bowed with his hands clasped together. Xiao Xie nodded, her expression cool, her head inclining slightly. She knew that the person before her was the one Lu Changxing had mentioned, who was about to break through to foundation establishment. Let's go. Without much conversation, she led Lu Changxing and Lu Muping to an already arranged Type A cave dwelling. For an energy refining cultivator, this was indeed the best place to break through to foundation establishment. Muping, are you fully prepared for every contingency? If you need anything else, you can purchase it here in Qingyun Market. Lu Changxing looked at Lu Muping and asked. Uncle, I am fully prepared. You have done much for me on this journey. Lu Muping answered respectfully. Even though he had been psychologically prepared, now that the moment of foundation establishment was upon him, he felt quite nervous. After all, for most cultivators, reaching foundation establishment was the ultimate life goal. Okay, since that's the case, you should prepare in the cave dwelling for foundation establishment without any nervousness or haste. Adjust your state and then proceed to break through. Lu Changxing patted his shoulder and said. With the Supreme Foundation Establishment Elixir, 3 Foundation Establishment spiritual objects, and the insights into foundation establishment, unless something went wrong, the chances of success were great. Yes. Lu Muping nodded, entered the cave dwelling, and started preparing for foundation establishment. Afterward, Lu Changxing and Xiao Xie went to another inn and exchanged their feelings of longing for each other. After that, Shiyu, do you have time after this auction is over? Lu Changxing asked softly. Changxing, is there something you wish to discuss? Xiao Xie's face lost its coldness, showing a blend of laziness, charm, and seductiveness, and her manner was captivating. If you're free, accompany me to Bai Lake Mountain afterwards. It's about Wangshu. Lu Changxing wrapped his arms around the fairy's jade body, speaking softly. What has happened to Wang Shu? Xiao Xia immediately showed a worried and anxious look upon hearing her daughter's name. It's certainly good news. Lu Changxing chuckled softly at Xiao Xia's anxious appearance. Then he pinched her soft cheek, saying softly, as to what it is, allow your husband to keep it a secret for now. You will find out soon enough. He thought, only news of their daughter Lu Wangshu could make Xiao Xia so anxious and worried. Chapter 762, A Trip to Qingyun Market, Ferry of the Zither. Great news? Okay, I'll go back with you then. Xiao Xia immediately let go of the nervousness that had suddenly arisen and was curious about what the great news Lu Changxing had mentioned was. 1.5 months later, the Qingyun Market's auction took place. The auction was bustling with excitement, and even with Xiao Xia's connections, Lu Changxing managed only to secure a spot in the ordinary seats. The distinguished guest seats were reserved for notable figures from the Qingyun sect or those with reputable names and faces from the surrounding areas. To this, Lu Changxing was indifferent. He attended the auction just to join in on the excitement and see if he could snag some good finds. As the auction was about to start, cultivators poured in continuously, among whom were even the false core immortals. Huan Yin sect. The leader is the fairy of the Qin from the Huan Yin sect. Just then, 4 women clad in rainbow-colored dresses adorned with white ribbons, dignified and graceful, with the air of immortals, walked into the auction, causing quite a stir when someone exclaimed. Lu Changxing also turned his head to look. The women had their hair done in an immortal style and wore veils over their faces, making it hard to discern their features. Only a pair of beautiful eyes were visible outside. The more it was so, the more it gave off a misty and ethereal beauty, making one eager to get a glimpse of the celestial face beneath the veil. So these are the cultivators from the Huan Yin sect? Lu Changxing remained calm, with a slight raise of his eyebrows, unperturbed. In the Jiang country cultivation realm, besides the Heavenly Sword sect, Qingyun sect, Luoxia sect, and Spirit Taming sect, there were also 2 sects, 3 cities, 3 noble families, and 8 forces of core formation strength. The Huan Yin sect was one of the 2 sects. The sect was quite distinctive. It was dominated by female cultivators, who cultivated music mastery, excelled in singing and dancing, and dabbled in illusion and bewitching techniques. Many large marketplaces had businesses under their name, such as the Huan Yin Pavilion and Miao Yin Pavilion. The music and dance of the sect's disciples could refine one's emotions, purify the spirit, and even assist in breaking through realms. Many found themselves needing to adjust their state when attempting to break through bottlenecks. And the music cultivation techniques of the Huan Yin sect could stir people's emotions, bringing calm to the mind and dispelling distractions. As for the title Fairy of the Qin, Lu Changxing had only heard of it. She seemed to be a disciple of the Huan Yin sect leader. Because of her profound attainments in music, people referred to her as Fairy of the Qin. The 4 women only appeared for a moment before walking straight into one of the second floor's private boxes, restoring tranquility to the venue. A short while later, the auction began. The auction, held once every 10 years, started with items of the Qi refinement realm level. Compared to other items, these were relatively rare and uncommon materials. Lu Changxing had no interest in these items and did not bid. When it came to the middle of the auction, items suitable for foundation establishments started to appear. During the process, Lu Changxing bid for and won a water-type turtle demon core. After exchanging insights on beast taming with Hong Lian, he learned that for creatures like the 9 netherhound, 6-winged golden silkworm, and cold blue dark turtle, it was beneficial for their growth to consume certain demon cores, though these had to be of the same attribute. If the species of the demon beast matched, the effect would be even better. This water-type turtle demon core could help the cold blue dark turtle, so he decided to purchase it. The auction continued, and as the latter half arrived, rare items of the foundation establishment started to surface, even 3rd-rank heaven and earth treasures. Spiritual Origin Pearl, starting bid, 20,000 spirit stones. This pearl is a product of natural creation. Although it is ungraded as an Eye of Spirit, carrying it or placing it in a dwelling will enrich the spiritual energy, and if combined with a formation, it can even be used to upgrade a spirit vein. Each bid increase must not be less than 1,000 spirit stones. Sir the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. It was at this moment that an auction item emerged, sparking a surge of excitement. Spiritual Origin Pearl. Lu Changsheng's face showed surprise and delight. After obtaining a previous spiritual origin pearl, Ling Zixiao made a judgment. He indicated that with just one spiritual origin pearl or through cultivating with a large number of spirit stones, the spirit vein of Baiyun Peak could potentially be elevated to a high-grade second rank. He had been wondering how to get a spiritual origin pearl, and although he came to the auction hoping for some luck, he did not expect to actually find one. 25,000 spirit stones. 30,000 spirit stones. 32,000 spirit stones. The Eye of Spirit, like the spiritual origin pearl, was in demand by both individuals and forces, and it was immediately competed for by many. 40,000 spirit stones. Lu Changsheng called out his bid. In the midst of the competition, he ultimately spent 43,000 spirit stones to acquire the spiritual origin pearl. The price was a bit steep. But for Lu Changsheng, it was within an acceptable range. Fortunately, he had dealt with the magic artifacts and spiritual artifacts obtained from the robber cultivators in the Red Leaf Valley market during his recent market strolls. Otherwise, he would not have had enough spirit stones on hand right now and would have had to resort to selling talisman materials. In the following auctions, several flagship items were presented: third-rank spiritual wood, core formation spiritual objects, and lower-grade magical treasures. But since the prices were too high and he had just spent a significant amount on the spiritual origin pearl, Lu Changsheng decided to forego further competition. After all, a foundation establishment cultivator with too much wealth would attract unwanted attention. Moreover, he really didn't have many spirit stones left. As the auction came to an end, Lu Changsheng left the venue feeling satisfied. Though he had only purchased 2 items this time, the acquisition of the spiritual origin pearl made the trip worthwhile in his eyes. 7 days later, Lu Changsheng and Xiao Xie returned to Bai Lake Mountain, preparing for their daughter Lu Wangshu to awaken her blood talisman spiritual body. As for Lu Muping, there had been no movement in his dwelling up to now. This situation was quite normal. All cultivators attempting foundation establishment had to ferment, adjust their state. Someone like Lu Miaoge, who had heavenly foundation establishment, was an extreme rarity. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 763, A Trip to Qingyun Market, Fairy of the Zither. Even Lu Changsheng and Xiao Xie had spent over a month adjusting their essence, qi, and spirits to perfection. Just over a month had passed, and it was very likely that Lu Muping was still adjusting his state and had not started foundation establishment. Therefore, Lu Changsheng and Xiao Xie could not possibly waste time here waiting for him. Considering he had purchased an item worth 50,000 spirit stones at the auction, Lu Changsheng was exceedingly cautious on his journey home. Fortunately, he encountered no dangers and safely returned to Bai Lake Mountain a half-month later. Mother. Lu Wangshu was overjoyed to see her mother Xiao Xie return. In the 2.5 years, although Xiao Xie had visited her once, she had only stayed with her for 3 days before leaving, which made her miss her mother terribly. Wangshu. Xiao Xie immediately went forward to hug her daughter tightly. The mother and daughter then reunited, Lu Wangshu's face full of joy, chattering away about her daily delights. Lu Changsheng accompanied his wife and daughter in their conversation. But seeing his daughter heading off to fish again, he shook his head and went away, handing over the spiritual origin pearl he won at the auction to Ling Zixiao. S.E.A. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Another spiritual origin pearl? Ling Zixiao, seeing the pearl, showed surprise and delight in her beautiful eyes. It was well known that spiritual origin pearls were rare treasures. Lu Changxing had just acquired one a few months earlier, and now there was another. With this pearl, the spirit vein of Baiyun Peak could immediately upgrade to upper second rank. Not only would the spiritual energy increase, but it would also aid in her ongoing arrangement of the divine with great formation. I was lucky this time. There happened to be a spiritual origin pearl at the Qingyan market auction, so I bid for it. Lu Changxing said with a smile. I will go now to integrate this pearl into the spirit vein. With this pearl, it will take at most 3 months for the spirit vein of Baiyun Peak to ascend to upper second rank. Ling Zixiao's eyes shone with joy. She had invested a lot in Bai Lake Mountain, treating it like her home, and witnessing its incremental progress and improvements also filled her with a sense of achievement. Good. Lu Changxing chuckled merrily. It was rare for him to see Ling Zixiao exhibit such emotions. Changxing, you mentioned something about Wang Shu the other day, what was it? The next day, Xiao Xia asked Lu Changxing about the great news concerning their daughter. Do you remember me asking you about the blood talisman spiritual body? Lu Changxing said with a chuckle. Thus at that moment, he wished to ask Hong Lian about the first method of awakening. Whether the two methods of awakening had any differences or not. Thereupon, Lu Changxing went to the summit of Baiyun Peak to inquire whether Hong Lian knew about the blood talisman spiritual body. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 764, Lu Wangshu Awakens. Golden Silkworm Goo. _1-inch blood talisman spiritual body. Upon hearing Lu Changsheng's words, Hong Lian guessed that he was inquiring for his daughter, Lu Wangshu. In the 2 years she spent at Bai Lake Mountain teaching the Lu family disciples cultivation, she had also made some casual observations. Among Lu Changsheng's children, aside from Lu Wangshu, none showed any remarkable talent. If anything was to be said, it was that the likelihood of a spiritual root in his offspring was relatively higher than the average level. However, she distinctly noticed that as the children aged, not only did their spiritual roots become increasingly better but the probability of possessing them grew higher as well. This surprised her, seeing the effect of the Dragon Emperor body. Even with Lu Changxing at the foundation establishment cultivation level, the Dragon Emperor body already showed such effects. What if he were to break through to the core formation stage, nascent soul stage, or even the divinity transformation stage? The offspring he would then have would all be incredibly gifted and uniquely talented. Young master, aside from the 2 methods you mentioned for awakening the blood talisman spiritual body, there is a third way to awaken it, to my knowledge, that is through unceasingly advancing on the talisman path and unleashing potential, thereby awakening the spiritual body. As for the first method involving a sacrificial ritual, I have heard that it involves a cultivator performing a blood sacrifice, but the specific details of the blood sacrifice ritual are unclear to me. It's probably similar to the second method that involves the blood refinement method with demon beast blood. Hong Lian spoke in a gentle, pleasant voice, slowly revealing the details of the blood talisman spiritual body. Using cultivators for a blood sacrifice? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow, thinking it was no wonder that there were no records in the ancient texts of Qingyan sect. As a righteous immortal sect, such things, even if known, would not be disseminated. He continued to inquire, are there any differences among these 3 methods? There is some difference in the degree of awakening of the spiritual body in the early stage, but overall, there won't be much discrepancy. Hong Lian opened her mouth and quietly said, Young master, if you want to maximize the spiritual body awakening effects, you can add some true spirit blood during the awakening through the blood refinement method. True spirit blood? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing immediately thought of his own Mount Sumer Tree King. He asked, could this true spirit blood be too overbearing? Wang Shu is a blood talisman spiritual body, and I am preparing to awaken her spiritual body, but she has yet to commence cultivation. If the spiritual blood is too potent, it might harm her body. Young master, I know of a medicinal bath technique that can dilute true spirit blood and use it to prepare a medicinal bath. This will not only maximize the awakening of Miss Blood Talisman's spiritual body but also purify her flesh and solidify her foundation. At that time, Miss Wangshu can immediately commence cultivation, and before reaching the foundation establishment, her progress will be incredibly fast. Dressed in gorgeous palace clothes, with a delicate and perfect complexion, Hong Lian always maintained a faint smile on her face as she spoke. She appeared sacred and noble and exuded an ethereal and hazy beauty. Good, list the spiritual materials needed for this medicinal bath, Lu Changxing immediately replied upon hearing this. Young master, this medicinal bath technique is not immutable, it still needs to be formulated based on the condition of the spiritual blood, and I also have some understanding in the area of medical treatments. Hong Lian said this, indicating her need to first confirm the conditions of several types of spiritual blood. Because aside from the Mount Summer's true spirit blood, she indicated that the bloodlines of the 9 Netherhound and the cold blue dark turtle were also extraordinary and could be included. Good. Lu Changxing nodded his head, asking for the approximate amount of spiritual blood needed. After confirming that it would not cause harm to his pet beasts, he went to request a portion of spiritual blood from the Mount Summer Tree King. The true spirit blood of the Mount Summer Tree King, although called blood, is actually an origin source liquid. It resembles liquid amber and shimmers with a golden luster, exuding a rich vitality and a sacred aura. Subsequently, he asked Hong Lian to draw some essence blood from the 9 Netherhound and the cold blue dark turtle, which left both pet beasts somewhat wilted and weak, needing several months to recuperate. 10 days later. Inside the alchemy room, the earth vein fire burned vigorously. SAR the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, above the fire was not a pill furnace. Instead, it was a bronze cauldron. At this moment, inside the cauldron, the crystal-clear spiritual liquid roiled as Su Rian placed pricey herbs, spirit fruits, monster cores, and even demon beast bones into it. As time passed, the clear spiritual liquid inside the cauldron gradually turned dark and viscous. CHSS. Su Rian lifted her palm lightly, and gourds from the table beside her rose into the air, their contents of spiritual blood pouring into the cauldron. Gurgle gurgle gurgle, with the addition of green, crimson, and azure liquids into the cauldron, the dark water boiled more fiercely, emanating an unpleasant smell. Daddy, Lu Wangshu, originally excited to hear she possessed a legendary spiritual body and that a simple medicinal bath could awaken it, had hurried over in high spirits. But now, looking at the boiling bronze cauldron, her face tensed up, her lips pursed, displaying a hint of fear. It's okay, don't be afraid, Lu Changxing said as he stroked her head. Mommy, Lu Wangshu then turned to look pitifully at her mother, Xiao Xia, no longer wanting to proceed with the medicinal bath. It's fine, once the medicinal bath is finished, little Wangshu can begin to cultivate, Xiao Xia squatted down, speaking gently. She was well aware that Lu Changxing had prepared this medicinal bath for his daughter to awaken the blood talisman's spiritual body, spending tens of thousands of spirit stones and even purchasing a second-rank medicinal cauldron specially for it. The inclusion of true spirit blood, particularly, was beyond valuation. Su Rian poured the last bottle of golden liquid into the medicinal cauldron. Following that, just like in alchemy, she gestured towards the bronze cauldron, emitting a series of spells. The cauldron hummed and vibrated, the liquid inside boiling and foaming, with splashes of iridescent clarity. The originally murky liquid slowly turned to a pale gold, filling the air with a rich fragrance. Young master, the precious medicine has been brewed, it is ready for use. At this moment, Su Rian looked towards Lu Changxing and spoke. Daddy, I'm going to be boiled alive, Lu Wangshu said with a frightened face. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 765, Lu Wangshu Awakens. Golden Silkworm Goo. Hong Lian, are you sure there won't be any problems? Lu Changxing looked at the bubbling medicinal bath with concern and asked for confirmation. Young master, please rest assured, this medicinal bath technique refines all the essence into a precious medicine. During the baptism, other than some pain, there will be no harm, the Hong Lian inhabiting Su Ruian's body spoke up. Due to her weak spiritual soul, she was unable to leave the ancient beast taming charm for long periods of time or do too much through her spiritual body. Therefore, for daily tasks such as alchemy, artifact refining, and setting up arrays, she would do them through Su Ruian's body. It was also for this reason that Lu Changxing had not allowed Su Ruian to conceive. Good. Lu Changxing nodded upon hearing this. Then, looking at Lu Wangshu, who was timidly clinging to her mother, Xiao Xia, he spoke in a gentle voice, Wangshu, it's okay, it will be over soon. Daddy, I'm going to be boiled, Lu Wangshu said, her face filled with fear. Good girl, Wangshu. Xiao Xia knew they couldn't delay any longer, as it would affect the efficacy of the bath. She gritted her teeth slightly, then raised her hand, and her daughter was lifted into the air, followed by a plop as she entered the cauldron. Daddy, Mommy, it's so hot, I don't want to be boiled. Lu Wangshu immediately cried out in alarm, her face showing a look of pain. Wangshu, don't be afraid, after the bath, Daddy will teach you cultivation, and after your bath, you will grow up quickly and be able to hold turtles. Lu Changxing, seeing this scene, felt sorry for his daughter and worried she might not be able to bear it, so he spoke comfortingly. Shoo! Su Ruian then cast one spell after another toward the bronze cauldron, landing on Lu Wangshu. The medicinal liquid boiled and bubbled, radiating a brilliant light and permeating a fragrant scent. Even the roar of demon beasts could be heard. Daddy, Mommy, under the baptism, Lu Wangshu's body turned red, her skin was suffused with a brilliant light, and a divine radiance flowed. However, the look of pain on her small face was genuine. She had been pampered by Lu Changxing from a young age and had never been hit or hurt before, now she was experiencing this kind of pain. It's okay, don't be afraid, just endure it a little while longer, and later Daddy and Mommy will take you fishing and make you candy pills. Lu Changxing and Xiao Xia could tell that the medicinal bath was indeed not causing harm to Lu Wangshu. The wisps of essence in the medicinal bath continuously cleansed and refined her blood, meridians, bones, and dantian, making them more resilient and harmonious with nature's spiritual energy. Daddy, you have to keep your promise. Lu Wangshu also understood that she couldn't escape today's medicinal bath no matter what and had to endure boiling this once. With reddened eyes and a pitiful look, she said. When has Daddy ever lied to you? Lu Changxing replied with a pained expression, speaking tenderly. Sar the Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Wangshu, with a pained and aggrieved face, stayed in the bronze cauldron, biting down on her teeth, no longer crying out in pain. She knew her parents were doing it for her own good, and she had to awaken her spiritual body through this method. As time passed little by little, the essence of the medicinal bath continued to baptize Lu Wangshu, making her tender skin turn a deep red as if about to bleed, with continuous impurities being expelled. Suddenly, a mysterious aura spread from within Lu Wangshu. Blood Talisman Spiritual Body. Lu Changxing and Xiao Xia both sensed this aura and exchanged a glance, their faces showing delight. They knew that Lu Wangshu's blood talisman spiritual body had begun to awaken. However, at this moment, Lu Wangshu was somewhat muddled under the medicinal bath ritual. She felt an inexplicable sensation all over, as if she were floating, and her whole body was comfortable. Groggily, she opened her eyes and saw her mother and father still beside her, watching her with concern. She instantly felt reassured and fell asleep right in the medicinal cauldron. This scene brought smiles to Lu Changxing and the others. The medicinal bath continued for a day and a night, leaving only a quarter of the original amount. My lord, it's done. At this time, Hong Lian cast a spell and spoke to Lu Changxing. Hong Lian, you have worked hard this time. Lu Changxing exhaled deeply and said. All day, it had been Hong Lian who was busy. He and Xiao Xia had just been watching. He could now clearly see that his daughter, Lu Wangshu, was crystal clear and radiant, with a rich spiritual energy flowing through her meridians and dantian. As soon as she began cultivation, she could complete the process of drawing spiritual energy into her body, without the need to cultivate slowly. My lord is too kind. Hong Lian said with a light laugh. Well, take Wangshu to rest, and you should rest too, Lu Changxing said. He knew that the day had taken a lot out of Hong Lian. He then gestured for Xiao Xia to lift Lu Wangshu out of the cauldron to have a good night's rest. Mother. Lu Wangshu, lifted by her mother, half awake, mumbled softly and cuddled into Xiao Xia's arms before falling back to sleep. She had undergone the medicinal bath ritual and awakened her blood talisman spiritual body, exhausting a great deal, and needed sleep to recover and complete her transformation. All right. Hong Lian nodded in reply and then looked at the remaining liquid in the cauldron, saying, My lord, not all of the medicinal power in the cauldron has been absorbed. Later on, you can add more medicinal fluid and continue to use it to refine the flesh and bones of the young masters and ladies in the house. Refining the flesh. Upon hearing this, Lu Changsheng's brows furrowed slightly, and he asked, Hong Lian, can anyone be baptized in this medicinal bath? Of course. Hong Lian spoke up. This medicinal bath technique is something I acquired from a barbarian witch tribe. After detecting the spiritual root in their children, they all undergo a medicinal bath ritual to refine their flesh and bones. This method is actually akin to the effect of the solid foundation elixir that my lord administers to the young masters and ladies in the house. It's just that, comparatively, this method is more crude and direct. If my lord wishes to perform a medicinal bath ritual for all the young masters and ladies in the house, it is certainly possible, but this is best done between the ages of 6 and 10. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 766, Lu Wangshu Awakens. Golden Silkworm Goo. If they're too old, it's difficult to absorb the effectiveness of the medicine, easy to waste, and the effects are not significant, Hong Lian said in a gentle and graceful voice. Alright, we can consider that later. As for now, this kind of medicinal bath is still somewhat expensive, Lu Changxing nodded in agreement. Although he wanted to provide such a treatment for all his children, the preparation of this medicinal bath for Lu Wangshu alone, not to mention the use of his 3 pet beasts' spiritual blood, cost him nearly 20,000 spirit stones just for the purchase of other various spiritual blood, spiritual medicines, monster cores, and demon beast materials. If he were to do this for all the children in the family, even if he were wealthy, he couldn't afford such an expense. Moreover, the blood supply from the family's 3 pet beasts wouldn't keep up. Young master, this time it was for the awakening of the blood talisman spiritual body, which involved the use of true spirit blood, thus maximizing the effects of the bath and resulting in higher costs. It's also possible to create a medicinal bath using the blood, bones, and monster cores of first and second rank demon beasts. However, such potency can be much more overbearing and the process extremely painful. If one cannot endure it, there's a risk of injury. In some small barbarian tribes, where conditions are poor, they use this method to lay the foundation for their youngsters, Hong Lian added. She indicated that the medicinal bath for Lu Wangshu was of a high standard, and for the initiation of ordinary youngsters, it wouldn't need to be so lavish, costing less than a tenth. Good, Lu Changxing nodded his head. He planned to consider adding a medicinal bath ritual to the family's regimen when conditions improved. System. As he walked out of the alchemy room with Xiao Xia, Lu Changxing inwardly called out. He wanted to see what changes had occurred to his daughter's talents after awakening the blood talisman spiritual body. Immediately, a system panel appeared. Name, Lu Wangshu, Lifespan, October 93, Talent, 4th grade spiritual root, blood talisman spiritual body, superior spiritual body, cultivation level, none, talent, talisman path compatibility, 89%, 89%. Lu Changsheng, upon seeing the talent displayed on his daughter's panel, paused for a moment, his eyes revealing surprise and delight. He hadn't expected that upon awakening the blood talisman's spiritual body, his daughter's talent would soar so dramatically. The person with the highest talent in his family currently was Ling Zixiao. Her formation path talent was 81%. Yet his daughter, Lu Wangshu, having just begun to be introduced to the talisman path and having awakened the blood talisman's spiritual body, now had a compatibility of 89%. But when she heard the foremost talisman cultivator, a smile of longing also appeared in her beautiful eyes. After all, as parents, who wouldn't hope for their daughter to achieve something in the future? Search * the Nell Fire. And a website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Thus, the two of them spoke about their daughter's future. At this moment, Lu Changsheng also couldn't help but miss his children who were away from home. His son Lu Qingshan and daughter Lu Qingzhu of the Jinyang sect in Yu Country. And his daughter, Nangong Yaoyao, in Jin Kingdom. He was slightly more at ease with Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu. After all, Jinyang sect of Yu Country was a righteous cultivation sect. His son Lu Qingshan had broken through to the 6th level of energy refinement last year, and his daughter Lu Qingzhu had also advanced to the 5th level not long ago. But the situation of Nangong Yaoyao, he couldn't help but worry. After all, the 5 poisons cult of Jin Kingdom belonged to the demon path. His daughter had been raised in a demon path sect since she was young, with her mother Nangong Mili being a notable figure in the demon path. Although this situation didn't necessarily mean she was at a disadvantage, it felt like she could easily be led astray. This child will soon be 5 years old. Lu Changsheng thought that he had never even met this child, fearing he wouldn't know how to face her when he went to Jin Kingdom in the future. At this moment, he was filled with profound anxiety. Meanwhile, in Jin Kingdom, the 5 poisons cult. A gloomy and dark prison cell. Under the heavenly goo, with the golden silkworm as king, it seems your luck is not small, actually managing to refine a golden silkworm goo. Nangong Mili, dressed in a majestic purple silk gown with an enchanting and bewitching face, looked at the man in front of her and spoke softly, as a gold-hued, silkworm-like creature rested on her slender jade-like fingers. Heaven Spider Emissary, please spare my life. Heaven Spider Emissary, please spare my life. I am willing to offer up the golden silkworm goo and only ask for your eminence's mercy. The man was burly, with a fierce face and bloodshot eyes. His limbs, his collarbones, and his pelvis, all the vital points, were pierced by chains, suppressing his mana. As he looked at the extraordinarily glamorous Nangong Mili in front of him, he kept pleading for mercy, fear evident in his eyes. As a disciple of the 5 poisons cult, he was very clear that this Heaven Spider Emissary was a true femme fatale. Falling into her hands meant there was no good ending. Sparing your life, naturally, I can, however, since you have managed to refine the golden silkworm goo, you should know that to subdue it, one must use the fresh blood of its master for nurturing and feeding. Nangong Mili smiled charmingly, her voice flirtatious, but her beautiful eyes only held cold and ruthless light. No, Heaven Spider Emissary, I beg you, please spare me. The burly man showed a look of terror, trembling all over, and he quickly begged aloud. Having managed to refine the golden silkworm goo, he certainly understood the domineering nature of the goo. It was difficult for others to refine it. The only way was to suppress the will of the golden silkworm goo with another heavenly goo and slowly subdue it. But there was another demonic method, which was to pour and feed the blood of its current master to slowly refine it. Nangong Mili, by saying this, was obviously intending to use the second method to make him a blood slave, thereby refining the golden silkworm goo. Watching Nangong Mili turn and step out of the prison, he howled ferociously, "Ah, Nangong Mili, you harlot, you will not die well. I refined the golden silkworm goo and was certain to rise among the ranks in the sect's grand competition. If you kill me, once the sect hierarch knows, he will certainly not let you off lightly." The burly man roared loudly, his body struggling against the chains, making them rattle loudly. He thought that after obtaining such a fortuitous chance to refine the golden silkworm goo, he was on the cusp of soaring high. But unexpectedly, because of the crime of killing a fellow sect member, he was taken down by Nangong Mealy and was now destined to become a blood slave. Nangong Mealy, facing these curses, turned a deaf ear and let out a soul-stirring, light chuckle. Looking at the golden silkworm goo on her fingertip, her eyes revealed a hint of indulgence and joy. With this golden silkworm goo, Yao Yao's destined goo will have a place to belong. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 767, Fate-Defying Robe, Mount Summerus Grand Illusory Sky Formation. _1 by Lake Mountain. Lu Family Mansion, in a rear courtyard. Lu Wangshu held the cold blue dark turtle above her head, running around the courtyard with a face full of cheer. Although her body had been decent before, it was still within the range of an ordinary person. But after the medicinal bath ritual, her physical constitution had improved significantly, almost a complete transformation, comparable to a martial artist, a body cultivator. Wangshu, be careful. By her side, Xiaoxia watched her daughter with worry, fearful that the girl might trip or hurt herself. All right, Wangshu, come here, Daddy will teach you cultivation. Lu Changsheng, watching his spirited and overly excited daughter, called out helplessly. His daughter was usually quite serene. But now, running around with a cold blue dark turtle weighing hundreds of pounds, he felt a strong sense of dissonance. It was a relief that after the medicinal bath, only her height had increased a bit. If she had transformed like Neza, Lu Changxing felt he would not bear to look. However, he knew this was merely the strong effect of the medicinal bath. The girl had slept 3 days and nights and still hadn't fully assimilated the medicine's power, her whole being brimming with energy. Emicham. Lu Wangshu set down her pet and then skipped merrily over to Lu Changsheng's side. Although she had been nearly cooked to death a few days ago, which made her quite aggrieved, her current spirited and strong state made her feel unprecedentedly well, pushing the memory of almost being boiled behind her. Daddy, what's the name of the cultivation method you'll practice? How do I cultivate it? Lu Wangxing asked with clear, expectant, and curious eyes. In class at the academy, Shed learned quite a bit about cultivation. She knew that in cultivation, one needed to choose a cultivation technique suitable for oneself, and after reaching the 3rd level of Qi refinement, one could fly on a sword and command water, fire, lightning, and thunder. By then, she could go fishing on her own, without needing to call for daddy or mommy or for the company of a brother or sister. Your spiritual body is of the talisman path, so the technique daddy is going to teach you is called 99 Mystical Talisman Scripture. Lu Changxing had his daughter sit next to him and gestured for Xiaoxia to listen in. He then started to describe the technique. After practicing this technique, you can condense your life-bound divine talisman, and in battle, you have methods such as void drawing of talismans, talisman refinement formation, and sacrificial of talisman soldiers. Daddy, does void drawing of talismans mean you can draw talismans without using talisman paper? Lu Wangshu, under Lu Changsheng's everyday teachings, had already become familiar with talisman making. Exactly, all kinds of talismans and techniques can be deployed through the method of void drawing of talismans. Ordinary talismans require a lot of time to draw, but after practicing this technique, you'll be able to draw a large quantity of talismans in a very short amount of time, Lu Changxing said softly. Daddy, why not prepare talismans in advance? That way, wouldn't you not need to draw them when the time comes? Lu Wangshu asked such a question. Lu Changxing. He suddenly felt that by placating his daughter with talismans to play with in ordinary days, he had led to her lacking awareness of the value of spirit talismans. Because normally drawing talismans not only takes a lot of time but also requires money to buy talisman paper and spirit ink. Sir the novel, F. Iyer. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you can perform void drawing of talismans, you can save the money for those materials, which you can then use to buy tasty treats and fun toys. Moreover, the higher the level of the talisman, the rarer the materials needed. Void drawing of talismans doesn't have this problem, Lu Changxing explained patiently to his daughter. Oh, I see. Daddy, what are talisman refinement formation and sacrificial of talisman soldiers? Lu Wangshu nodded thoughtfully and continued to inquire. Normally, we use 2 or 3 talismans at a time, right? But with talisman refinement formation, you can use hundreds or thousands of talismans together at once, forming a formation that multiplies their power, Lu Changxing explained, taking out a golden armor spirit bean. As soon as the spirit bean flew out, it transformed into a large figure, a warrior clad in golden armor. As for talisman soldiers, they are spirit talismans refined into soldiers, like this golden armor warrior that Daddy has, which can help with work and do many things. You like big puppet toys, right? Talisman soldiers can be made to look like big puppet toys, Lu Changxing said with a smile, pointing at the golden armor warrior. Help with work, big puppet toys. Lu Wangshu heard this, and looking at the 2-meter-tall golden armor warrior in front of her, her little face immediately showed a look of surprise and excitement. Although she had some interest in talisman path, under Lu Changxing's guidance, she was even more passionate about fishing, alchemy, and puppets. Hearing Lu Changxing's words now and thinking that she could take talisman soldiers fishing, she grew interested in this technique. That's right, this technique is very powerful. Come, let Daddy teach you now. Lu Changxing coaxed his daughter and began to explain the first level of the technique slowly. Xiao Xie rested her jade arm on her cheek, her beautiful eyes full of smiles as she watched the father and daughter in front of her. She couldn't help thinking back to the time when her master Yun Wanshang taught her how to cultivate. But her master had not been as detailed in her teachings as Lu Changxing was now. Moreover, her master was very imposing and strict back then, not as gentle in demeanor and tone as Lu Changxing, who seemed to be cajoling a child. An hour later. Lu Wangshu crisply said, Daddy, I've memorized it all. Oh, memorized it all, have you? Then give it a try. Daddy will watch you, Lu Changxing said with a smiling chuckle, taking out a cushion for his daughter. He was curious to see how long it would take for his daughter to get into the state and complete the process of drawing qi into her body. Just like when Lu Pingan practiced the 100 Refinements treasure body art, it had taken him 4 days to grasp the essentials. Lu Wangshu, hugging the cushion, sat down to the side in the lotus position. Then, with pursed lips and a serious face, she said, Daddy, I'm going to begin. All right. Lu Changxing said with a full smile. The next moment, Lu Changxing's smiling face stiffened slightly, and his eyes showed a look of surprise and doubt. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 768, The Fate-Defying Robe, Mount Sumerus Grand Illusory Sky Formation. Not only him, but Xiao Xie's eyes also revealed surprise, doubt, and delight. Because they saw that as soon as their daughter Lu Wangshu closed her eyes, she entered the state. Threads and strands of nature's spiritual energy were being drawn to her, slowly entering Lu Wangshu's body. This, Lu Changxing and Xiao Xie looked at each other, both seeing overwhelming joy in the other's eyes. The speed of a cultivator's cultivation, besides the primary factor of the spiritual root, depended also on comprehension. If one had high comprehension, many cultivation techniques could be quickly learned and mastered, hastening the pace of cultivation considerably. Sar the novel, F. Iyer. And a website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Just like how Lu Changxing, relying on the cultivation techniques inherited from the system, faced fewer obstacles on his cultivation path. Seeing their daughter immediately enter the state and comprehend the cultivation technique, they were naturally overjoyed. Is this because of the blood talisman's spiritual body or because Wangshu herself has excellent comprehension? It should be both. Wangshu has always been quick to grasp alchemy, talisman making, fishing, and other such activities, understanding their meanings with just a brief explanation. Now that the cultivation technique she is practicing is of the talisman path, which coincides with her blood talisman's spiritual body, she has instantly grasped its mysteries and entered the state. Lu Changxing mused to himself, his eyes filled with joy. The real difficulty of the 99 mystical talisman scripture lay in its 99 spiritual patterns. Take Lu Miaoge, it had taken her 10 years to barely comprehend the first foundational spiritual pattern. Now, with Lu Wangshu's remarkable comprehension, understanding these spiritual patterns in the future should be much simpler. Changxing, it seems Wang Shu has inherited your comprehension, Xiao Xie conveyed to Lu Changxing with a face full of joy. Because Lu Changxing was proficient in various cultivation techniques, as well as in talisman making, alchemy, and the art of talisman formations, she had always believed that Lu Changxing had extraordinary comprehension and innate talent. Seeing her daughter's comprehension now, she believed it was inherited from Lu Changxing. He. Lu Changxing chuckled but said nothing. He had a clear idea about his own comprehension. In this manner, under their watchful eyes, after half a day had passed. Boom! A surge of qi energy dispersed from Lu Wangshu's body, causing her skirt to flutter and creating a layer of dust around her. Lu Wangshu opened her eyes and looked at her delicate palms. Therefore, he could only suggest a mix of work and leisure, spending an hour a day on cultivation and an hour on studying the talisman path. The rest of the time, apart from attending classes, he let her play as she liked. Just then, a system notification rang in Lu Changsheng's mind. Congratulations to the host, 50 of your offspring have broken through martial Dao innate, gaining bloodline effect, increased reproduction rate of offspring by 5%, and receiving one chance to draw a prize. 50, is it? Upon hearing the voice, Lu Changxing showed a smile. Father, I've got a fish on the line. Seated on the cold blue dark turtle, Lu Wangshu suddenly exclaimed with surprise and excitement, lifting the fishing rod vertically. Thanks to the medicinal baths, her strength had leveled up, and she no longer required assistance when hooking a fish. Moreover, she had self-taught how to play a fish, and patiently guided the fish onto the hook. This scene made Lu Changxing shake his head. With her talents and comprehension, why didn't she apply them more to worthy pursuits? After enduring what felt like an eternity fishing with his daughter for an hour, Lu Changxing told her to go back and cultivate properly, while he returned to Changxing Hall. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 769, The Fate-Defying Robe, Mount Summer's Grand Illusory Sky Formation. System, Draw a Prize. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and silently chanted in his heart. HS fishing luck had been so poor, it was about time for some good fortune in the drawing, right? A faint red roulette appeared, and the golden light began to spin. After a few breaths, the golden light settled on the magical treasure section. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the magical treasure, Fate-Defying Robe. The reward has been dispatched to the system space. The host may check it at any time. A mystic robe emerged from the great roulette, accompanied by a system notification tone. A magical treasure, the fate-defying robe? Lu Changsheng's eyebrows lifted when he saw the reward. Although he was indifferent to most magical treasures, he felt quite pleased with the robe. After all, even if a magical robe could not be activated, its defensive capabilities were far superior to those of a common spiritual instrument robe. Magic artifact, fate-defying robe, grade, high-grade magical treasure, description. Crafted by the ancient Mount Summer Elder, this unique magical treasure can block divination and conceal one's form and chi. If fully activated, it can hide in the void and traverse formations below the third rank. Unless one has the spiritual eye technique or divine skills, it is hard to detect. Not so much focused on defense, but blocking divination and concealing one's form and chi, and traversing formations? Lu Changsheng looked at the magical treasure in front of him with some astonishment. In the vast array of cultivation skills, there is a very niche and specialized skill known as divination. This art of divination can fathom the secrets of heaven, intuitively predict personal fortunes and misfortunes, or gain a rough idea of someone else's situation and information. However, this mystical art of divination is very esoteric, with an extremely high barrier of entry and can shorten one's lifespan. Lu Changsheng had never seen it but had only read about it in books. In the cultivation world, where such arts of divination exist, naturally, there is also divine skills that shield one from heavenly secrets and treasures that isolate divination. The fate-defying robe is one such magical treasure. Though there's probably no one trying to divine my whereabouts for no reason, possessing this robe is good to have. Moreover, the robe also has effects that conceal one's form and chi. Lu Changsheng murmured to himself. He judged the fate-defying magical treasure to be fairly good and decided to keep it for his own use. With a slight intent, he retrieved the magical treasure from the system space. Instantly, a broadly tailored, simple, and refined mystic robe appeared in front of Lu Changsheng. Upon touching the robe, it felt silky smooth and as warm as jade, woven with an unknown material and inscribed with spiritual patterns and seals. Lu Changsheng began the process of refining the seals within the robe. Sar the novel, F. Iyer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. While his mana might not be strong enough to activate the robe, investing more time would allow him to refine it and retain the basic effects of concealing his form and chi. 1 month later, Lu Changsheng refined the fate-defying robe. After putting on the robe, he flicked his finger and a mirror made of water emerged before him. The water mirror reflected his handsome and dapper figure. Looking at his reflection, Lu Changsheng felt as if his entire demeanor had changed. Originally, with his handsome features and green robe, he was like an orchid standing proudly, refreshing to behold. Now, dressed in a mystic robe, his figure became even more slender and upright, adding layers of depth and a stately, dignified air. With the fate-defying robe on, Lu Changsheng inexplicably felt a strong sense of security. The main effects of the robe might be to block divination, conceal chi, hide one's form, and traverse formations, but a magical treasure is still a magical treasure. Its defenses were quite remarkable, far surpassing that of a spiritual instrument. Lu Changsheng had tested it and found that at least his own flying sword and techniques couldn't breach the robe and cause damage. Although the robe's spiritual light is subdued and it can conceal my form and chi, someone might still notice something is off. Lu Changsheng thought and decided to wear his green robe over it. After checking to make sure there were no issues, he left the room. 1 month later. That day, as Lu Changsheng was teaching his daughter the basics of spiritual patterns, he suddenly felt Bai Yun Peak tremble slightly. Could it be Bai Yun Peak's spirit vein has advanced to a second-rank upper grade? He frowned slightly, immediately thinking of the advancement of his family's spirit vein. Wang Shu, watch yourself for a moment. Daddy has something to take care of and will step out for a bit. Lu Changsheng said to his daughter, Lu Wangshu, as he prepared to investigate the matter. Yes, Daddy, go ahead. Lu Wangshu replied obediently. Lu Changsheng patted her little head, walked out of the courtyard, and headed to the top of Bai Yun Peak. My husband, Bai Yun Peak's spirit vein has indeed advanced to a second-rank upper grade. Ling Zixiao greeted Lu Changsheng, guessing the reason for his presence, and said with a graceful smile. So it is the spirit vein's advancement. Upon confirmation, a surge of joy filled Lu Changsheng's heart. Although the spirit vein was already at a critical point and the spiritual energy at the spirit eye was comparable to a second-rank upper grade, now that the spirit vein had advanced from second-rank middle grade to upper grade, the concentration of spiritual energy throughout Bai Yun Peak could rise by 30%. Not only beneficial for Bai Yun Peak, but for the entire Bai Lake Mountain and even for the Mount Summer Tree King. He reached the spirit eye and could clearly feel that the spiritual energy was much more dense than before, with a continuous, surging outpouring of spiritual energy. Over time, this spiritual energy would gradually affect the entire Baiyun Peak. However, Lu Changxing decided to let Mount Sumru absorb some of this spiritual energy. Since Baiyun Peak didn't need so much spiritual energy right now, it would be better to channel it towards Mount Sumru's growth. My husband, not only has the spirit vein advanced to a second rank upper grade, but the divine wood great formation is also nearly complete, it's just missing the last step. At this moment, Ling Zixiao continued with a smile. Oh, the divine wood great formation is about to be completed? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow, surprised. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.